that as well as the chat, I think, but we do not monitor the YouTube stream nor the chat attached to the YouTube stream, which is embedded on the website, or you can follow it right on YouTube. So that would be the way to attend the meeting if you're not in the physical gallery. The other way in which you can connect to the board meeting is through an email address, which is responses@acrd.bc.ca. And that would be something that we check at the end of every board meeting. So we'll go right into introductions, and we'll go counterclockwise as is tradition. So Heather, do you want to start us off?
Good afternoon, Heather Zenner, Manager of Administrative Services.
Good afternoon, everyone. Debbie Haggard, Councillor for the City of Port Alberni and Vice Chair of the Regional District Board.
Hello, Penny Cote. I am the Electoral Area Director for Sprout Lake.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike Sproul, Electoral Area for Cherry Creek.
Good afternoon, everyone. Uklama Marikes. I am the representative for the Hotchkiss Tribe Government. Happy to be here. Shoo.
Good afternoon, Fred Boyko, Electoral Area Director for Beaufort.
Good afternoon. I'm Daniel Sayana, the CAO for the ACRD.
Good afternoon, everyone. Michael McGregor, Lands and Resources Coordinator with the ACRD.
And good afternoon, Alex Dyer, Planning Manager at the ACRD.
Good afternoon, Cynthia Dick, General Manager of Administrative Services.
Great, thank you. And online, Dr. Beckett.
Good afternoon, Bob Beckett, representing Bamfield Area A.
Thank you, Dr. Steer.
Yes, good afternoon. Tom Steer, elected, appointed director from the District of Tofino.
Say both. Dr. Roth.
Good afternoon, Susan Roth for Beaver Creek.
And Dr. Johnson.
Good afternoon, Kirsten Johnson, representing Toquat Nation.
Thank you. Dr. Siga.
Veda Siga, Director for Area C, Long Beach.
And Dr. McEwen.
Good afternoon, Marilyn McEwen, Mayor of Ucluelet.
Great. And Oklahoma Side Shot. My name is John Jack. I am the Director for Hawaiian First Nations and the Chair. And welcome to everyone. We do have an agenda before us today. I do have some agenda items that are to be added and some to be taken off, I believe. So I'll read out the amendments to the agenda if that's helpful. So that the agenda be approved as circulated with the addition of the following late items. 9.1b, which is a TUP 25008 temporary use permit application 8335 Beaver Creek Road for Beaufort, neighbor letter. 9.1c, DVC 25003 development variance permit application 1186 3rd Avenue, Long Beach, a neighbor letter. And then the 7L Log Train Trail neighbor letter, and the removal of and finally, the removal of item 9D, TUP 24008, Ahira 10404 Marina Vista Drive, Sprout Lake. So that would be 3 items added and 1 item taken away. Are there any other, do we have any like late items or anything that needs to be added?
No, those are the only changes. They were emailed out with the exception of the removal of the Sprout Lake temporary use permit. And if you have questions, then Alex can answer those.
I do have one more addition for Director Cote. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm asking for late business to have notice of motion for August meeting for staff to bring forward information regarding the Sprout Lake Incorporation Study Grant.
Okay, so we'll add that as item 12A, information regarding Sprout Lake Incorporation Study Grant. Thank you. Oh, a notice of motion. All right, are there any other additions or deletions or modifications to the agenda? And if not, would anyone be willing to move the agenda as amended? Dr. Boyko moves, seconded by Dr. Sparrow. Thank you. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, so that brings us into declarations. Does anyone have any declarations of conflict of interest or gifts exceeding $250 in value? Right, seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, the adoption of minutes. Item 4A is the Board of Director meeting minutes for June 25th, 2025. Moved by Director Siga, seconded by Director Cote. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Next item 4B, the West Coast Committee meeting minutes for July 2nd, 2025. Moved by Director Steer, seconded by Director Siga. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? The motion carried. Thank you. That brings us to item C, the Agriculture Development Committee meeting dated July 15th, 2025. Moved by Director Boyko, seconded by Director Cote. Thank you. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so that brings us to item 5, which is petitions, delegations, and presentations. Normally for petitions and presentations and delegations, we have a 10-minute maximum for the presentation, which is like the content. However, if look like you're getting pretty close to the end, I might just tack on an extra minute here or there, so just keep going. If it doesn't look like you'll be finished by the 10-minute mark, I'll probably just hit pause and ask the board to continue. We almost invariably say yes, so I wouldn't worry about it. And this does not include the discussion after the presentation. So you will get your 10 minutes. It's rarely a problem, but the only advice I would give is always speak slower than you think you should, because I think a lot of people try to run through it really fast, and don't worry about that. It'll be okay. First off, I'd like to welcome Mr. Norm Kempe, or Kemp. I'm sorry, Norm, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Mr. Dean Fenn, BC Timber Sales, regarding information on the deactivation of Kurt's Crib. Thank you and welcome. Please go ahead.
Hi, so I'm Dean Fenn, Engineering Officer for BC Timber Sales. And I'm here to present a deactivation plan that we're going to carry out on South Taylor, Maine. It's at 11.89 kilometer. For anybody who wants to get kind of a reference for that, it's 11.89 past Gracie, Maine. So what's happened there is we have a log crib wall. It's a retaining wall, and it's about to fail. This is basically its last year. In fact, we may be in danger of it, failing before the winter rains, which would really impede our deactivation process for that project. And the reason we're not reconstructing the wall is because that road has been deemed surplus to BC Timber Sales needs. In other words, we have no timber beyond that section of road. So therefore, we won't be rebuilding it, we'll be deactivating it. And the main reason for not rebuilding is the cost of rebuilding. So the cost to rebuild, well, actually, I'll just go with estimates here. It's around 376,000. I better check my numbers. Around 376,000, I think, to rebuild. And it's around 177,000 to deactivate. And let's just see. Yeah, those numbers are correct. And that's in this year's dollars. So because it's been deemed surplus to BC Timber Sales needs, then it would go to the district manager to see if they would take over the road. I can't really speak to the district. However, they have no mandate to rebuild that road or keep that road in operation. What else do I need to tell you? Okay, so for the main reason for deactivating it this year is it is an environmental risk. The sockeye salmon spawn just below that area. Of course, it's a community watershed. And that's about it. Like, it needs to be deactivated before it fails. So I don't know if there's anything else that, that I need to tell you right now, but if you have some questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
All right, thank you. Director Cote and then Director Boyko.
Through the chair, thank you, Mr. Kemp. I did get to go for a tour with the Ministry of Forest Lands BC Timber Sale. There was also 2 members from Tishat that were also at this tour. We firsthand got to see what the issue was with the road and why it needs to be deactivated. And I've been advocating since I've known for the last 2 years that the road was going to be deactivated, to have it not deactivated or kept open. But seeing what the issues are, I have serious concerns that this road does need to be deactivated because of the issue where it could fail. There's a sign up that says any vehicle, I believe, over 500 pounds or
5 tons.
5 tons should not be going on this road because of the issue that the road could actually fail underneath it, a larger, heavier truck. So my issue, I absolutely support this, and I understand what was explained was they had to use a smaller machine because you can't put a really big machine there and just dig it up because it could fail underneath that big machine. So it's a very intricate process, I'm sure, to make this a safe place. My issue is that just beyond the Kurt's Crib is a campground, that if there's a fire that comes down, those people could be trapped with no escape. So I've looked at with the planning group there from BC Timber Sales and said, you know, could there be an access to at least walk out so that those people's lives could be saved if there was a fire, because it could happen. It very well could happen where they'd be trapped. Also, waters, like if somebody couldn't have access to be able to walk out if they're handicapped or whatever, there needs to be a way to be able to get people out, which I'm hoping that that's being taken into consideration with the deactivation so that there's a path so that people can escape. My also issue is that the West Coast could be completely cut off, very similar to what happened with the Cameron Bluff fire, where the whole community had no access to get out for all the reasons that we already were subjected to with the Cameron Bluff fire. Having access on that back way, the regional district identifies that back road of Sprout Lake as an emergency exit. So I'd really like to have support from the West Coast and this board to be going to Ministry of Emergency Management to help out to make sure that this road is active so that there is an escape route, because we really don't want to have loss of life for any reason. The environmental risk is there right now. It does need to be activated, and I absolutely support that. But I think we do need to find the money. It's $376,000 to rebuild that road somewhere. And we'd love to partner together and make sure that we can get this moving in a timely manner, not 10 years down the road, or if there's an emergency, like I was told that they might be able to put some kind of a temporary bridge in, but it's such a long expense, I can't see that happening. So I'd really like to get board support on making sure that we look for funding to help out to rebuild this road. Thank you so much for your report.
Thank you. Director Blicko?
Thank you very much. Thank you for the report. I'm just trying to clarify exactly where this will be cut. I'm just looking at a map. Is it on the Port Alberni side of Snow Creek Park or the Tofino side?
It's on the Port Alberni side of Snow Creek. Can't remember how far Snow Creek is away. I think it might be 2 or 3 kilometers. I'm not sure.
So the recreation area will still be open no matter what.
Well, there's another Sunset Lodge. I think that's what Penny's referring to. Is that the one that you're?
No, the campsite.
The Snow Creek? Okay.
The Snow Creek campsite, yeah.
Right, I'm just going to clarify it just so everyone that's listening to this is aware of exactly where it is, but it'd be good to put out like a little map that says beep. But when you say deactivate the road, are you shutting down the whole road, or are you just shutting down that little half a kilometer section and the rest of it will still be open?
Yeah, so I'll explain it. So it'll be about 800 meters, I think, 800 meters to a kilometer, because there's another bridge further down. It's called a half bridge because it's supporting the road as well, and it's failing as well. So what we'll be doing is pulling all the excess material out, like the fill, stockpiling it somewhere else, getting it down to proper bedrock or ground, and it can stay there like that until somebody finds funding to rebuild it. So all that material will still be there. We do have the designs for the rebuild, which we'd be willing to give to whoever needed it. So yeah, it's just up to 1 kilometer is the deactivation.
Thank you very much.
Any further comments? Dr. Siga, please go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, like, it sounds like you're deactivating and the concern is about the salmon habitat, but if you allow it to fail and just deactivate, won't that still create problems for the habitat?
You mean through deactivation, we'd be affecting the habitat?
I think her question has to do with the wall.
Yep.
That failing, would that have an environmental impact as
Oh,
well?
it'd have direct impact to salmon.
Thank you. Did you have a follow-up, Dr. Siga?
Yeah, through the chair, thank you. So if you're not going to fix that wall and it does fall, then we have an environmental issue. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's correct, yeah.
So either way, we have an environmental issue.
Well, there's no environmental issue currently. That's why we want to deactivate the road before it causes that problem.
So the process of deactivation will take that slide risk out of the question.
That's correct. It'll remove it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any further comments or questions? I had one for Norm. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Norm Kemp.
Just Kemp. Okay, thank you. Does anyone have anything else to ask or add? Okay, Dr. Siga, please go ahead.
Again, through the chair, I just wanted to make the comment that yes, this is an important emergency access. And originally the funding was sort of a tax base benefit to the people in creating roads in BC. So I think, yeah, perhaps we should formalize a request to collect the $300 and some thousand to keep the road active, just purely even from an emergency perspective.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. I was going to ask Dean if you had any advice in regards to if that was our end goal, is that something that would only involve BC Timber Sales, or would there be other agencies or other ministry staff that we will want to get a hold of?
In terms of rebuilding the road?
I believe that's the case, yes.
Yeah, so for BC Timber Sales, it's not our mandate, so we can't spend money on that road. So you would have to go to other agencies, keep trying potentially through Forest, but not through BC Timber Sales. There may be other ministries or agencies out there, or other local governments that may assist.
Thank you for that. Any further comments? Director Cote, please go ahead.
Thank you. Can we ask staff then to investigate, put it out there, and maybe this could be something we could take to UBCM in September to do some lobbying with the provincial government?
Thank you. I think that's taken. We'll do that for sure. Okay, any further comments? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to thank Dean for being here and for Norm for connecting in. And yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, next up we have 5B, and I'd like to welcome, if they're here, Mr. Scott Johnson, Ms. Jennifer Fitzgerald, residents of Long Beach electoral area, regarding a presentation on the public transit route in the Millstream subdivision. So Oh, we're all set up here. Oh, thank you, Herbie. Cute. And don't forget to hit the red button.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Fitzgerald. I have lived on Albion Crescent in Millstream Area C for the last 12 years. I spoke as a delegate at the West Coast Directors meeting on May 14th about relocating the newly implemented bus stop on Lee Street. At that meeting, I outlined the safety risks of having such frequent large vehicle traffic on Albion Crescent. There are 8 children under the age of 14 that live along the new bus route that previously used the roadway for riding bicycles, playing basketball, and street hockey. There are no kids' parks in the area. This road previously had very little traffic, which is why most residents chose to purchase homes there. Albion Crescent is a narrow roadway with no sidewalks, a large blind corner, hidden driveways, and sightlines blocked in many locations by trees and shrubs. The speed limit is 30 kilometers an hour, which is reasonable speed for a personal vehicle. However, I think for a large vehicle, 30 kilometers is not safe with poor sightlines and the condition of the road surface. Many buses drive too fast, and the speed will only increase over time, putting residents in harm's way. We have a petition with many homeowners that also feel the bus route has impacted them in a negative way, and they're not happy with the lack of consultation and communication from the ACRD. I was told initially that the decision to put the stop on Lee Street and use Albion Crescent as a bus loop was for the safety of the largest number of transit users. The reason given was that the transit users would not need to cross Highway 4 at a dangerous low visibility location. So since receiving this information in April, I have stopped and asked every person that I've seen waiting at the bus stop if they needed to come across Highway 4. All 12 people that I've talked to came from the other side of the highway. So in fact, it's creating the opposite situation where transit users are forced to cross the highway in a dangerous location. Specifically, 8 came from the car mechanic, 2 from the mobile home park across the highway, and 2 from Willowbrae Road. So on top of putting pedestrians, pets, and children at risk on Albion Crescent, transit users are put at risk while crossing the highway to access the bus stop. So I'll pass it on to Scott for his presentation.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having us in today. My name is Scott Johnson. I lived on Albion Crescent and Millstream for 21 years. I just wanted to come here today to support Jennifer and support the rest of our neighbors and hopefully getting a change maker. And I've prepared a bit of a PowerPoint deck to take you through sort of some of the challenges without duplicating too much information, and then propose what I think would possibly be a good solution. So basically, when we get into the implementation without consultation, I don't think I really need to go too far on that. It's been established already in the last West Coast Committee meetings that there was no consultation, no targeted consultation at all with any of the homeowners or residents. And why that was so surprising is because generally the ACRD, the way they communicate with us is you get a knock on the door, you get a notice, you get something going on, we got a water issue. Even if you leave a garden hose on, there's somebody knocking at your door to tell you it's that we have a leak and everybody should check. So this has been going on for a very long time, and even included the barbecue we had in April, which was really great. It was, I think, the first one we've had. And so all of a sudden, March 1st, all of a sudden 18 buses a day started rolling by. And it was very surprising and very disappointing to the residents. And I guess just because nobody talked to anybody and there was no targeted consultation, it left everybody feeling a bit disenfranchised. So that continues to grow. Nobody's happy about it. And it's gotten to the point now where I think everybody's on the same page that we need to do everything we can to try and get a change. Next slide. So here's an overview of Albion Crescent. Can I get a quick show of hands? Who in the room is very familiar with Millstream subdivision? 3, 4, 5. And Albion Crescent in particular, which I've got highlighted here. If you've ever driven through Millstream, it's kind of the main loop around Millstream. Everything else is the dead end street coming off that. So what you're looking at here is to the south, to the north, and we've got the current bus route and the current bus stop there on the map. So as you can see, buses from both directions turn onto Albion Crescent, they loop around and come back to the bus stop, and that's the way it's set up right now. So that gives you a bit of a lay of the land and sort of shows you kind of the grouping of houses, which 12 homes front that crescent. Next slide. So it's a really old road. I think Mac and Flo put it in initially when the logging heyday was on in the late 70s. It's basically the way Highway 4 is built, a bunch of logs and fill paved over. And it's been failing in multiple locations for quite a while. The blind corner and everything we'll get into, Jennifer's covered that. It's actually 8 children, not 7, under the age of 14. And there's a lot of free running cats and dogs around. And the homes are generally located fairly close to the road frontage. So the impact is actually fairly severe from a noise standpoint as well. Prior to the transit service, traffic limited to maybe, unless it's peak season, it's probably 4 or 5 vehicles a day. So now we have 18 buses a day in addition to that. And they're only running Albion Crescent to use it as a turnaround. So the increase in traffic is staggering, and that's you know, the safety issue is the main one, but there's a lot of other impacts that the residents are feeling. Next slide. So safety is the big one. Jennifer's touched on that. We feel that this increased safety risk is something that was basically imposed on us, and it's really changed the neighborhood. There's no kids riding bikes. There's nobody really walking dogs. And I realize it's a road, not a park, but we don't have, as Jennifer mentioned, a park or anywhere else to do that. So we're seeing a big change in terms of not only a lot of noise from buses, but you don't hear kids, you don't hear that sort of thing anymore. And it's kind of just changed that way. The noise levels of these buses is far higher than a passenger vehicle. They're heavy. That creates noise, vibration, squeaks, rattles, whatever. We can hear the buses coming when they turn off the highway well before they get to in front of our places. So when you think about 7:30 a.m. to 11:30 p.m., I think is the last bus that goes by there. It's really a huge difference in noise. And privacy, of course, when you've got a public transit system rolling by, even though there's low ridership, it definitely feels a lot less private. We don't have fences and big hedges and things like that because there's been no need for that. So basically, Jennifer mentioned that's why most of us purchased property there. It's because there was a very, very quiet location with low traffic and very little chance of that changing. So generally, security, character, enjoyability of the neighborhood has really, really gone down. Next slide. So if you want to start this video, this is the blind corner, and the bus drivers knew I was out here on this day driving or filming, so they're going really slow. But you'll get an idea. If you look at the width of the road, it is 15 feet or less than 5 meters wide in a lot of places. That's less than BC Transit requires for one bus lane. It's a two-way road. We have sound. Can't really hear it. But what you will see towards the end of the video, or not this video, the next video is one of the pets crossing pines. So if you take a look at that, that's the blind corner. Somebody's coming the other way. That road is too narrow for one of the people not to stop. Or if you have to pass each other, you're pulling onto somebody's driveway or way onto the right of way, and there's no shoulders. So I guess we'll go to the next video. So this is, oh, is that the same one? Okay, there we go. So this is basically the same blind corner, but further around the corner. So the bus is now coming towards us instead of away from us. And you're going to see, again, because of this blind corner, if you look at how it's left for a vehicle oncoming, there's nothing. And there she goes. And as you go right to the end here, you will see a cat coming across right at the end, which would be Jennifer's cat, one of hers. So this is the kind of thing we're concerned about is, you know, the amount of pets and everything that are there he is right there. You can just see him. And he was good enough to look both ways. So, okay, so move on from the videos, please. Okay, so this is the current bus stop. One of the things that was mentioned in the last Area C meeting was that BC Transit has their guidelines for bus stops. There needs to be room for people to stand. So if you look here, you've got half meter, and this is. So when somebody's getting on or off the bus, you can see the left picture. The bus has to come way over, and so when BC Transit requirements are, there's has to be somewhere for people to stand. If you take a look at the way the stop is set up now, there really isn't. They're standing on the road. Next slide. So once we realized we were going to have to take action, there were a lot of communication attempts or exchanges. And what we kept hearing was that everybody was surprised because there was a lot of support in Millstream for this. And, you know, the fact is that nobody talked to us. So there was really only one person that advocated, and I think with very good intentions, and that was Beta. So she advocated, she recognized that it would be great because there was no stop between Ucluelet and the junction. So you're talking about 8 kilometers there. And, you know, there's quite a few residents living between. So it was a great idea, but she was, we had a meeting with her. Apparently she wasn't advised of the routing, and everybody thought it was going to be stop would be on the highway. So basically, once our new reality became clear to us, we decided that we needed to organize, get the petition going, and start lobbying for change. Next slide. So recapping, Jennifer was at the May 14th meeting. She brought the petition, which has actually grown since then, and presented that. And the committee agreed to research some mitigation strategies. We talked about schedule change, possibly reduction of schedule, because 18 buses a day does seem excessive for that stop, given the average ridership. This is probably to the more before peak season was 3 a day. So 3 pickups a day. And as it turns out, like Jennifer said, it turns out the majority of them aren't even living in Millstream. They come from across the highway and the businesses and all these things. So the schedule reduction, we've been advised, I mean, these discussions are happening, which is great, but as anything in government, once it's in place, it's hard to change, hard to move. So we basically are looking at maybe a schedule reduction, possibly in October. That's just unclear at this point, and there's been nothing else concrete. I'm understanding that there are some, I guess, some costing studies underway to try to get a location on the highway, but nothing to date. So we continue to correspond and continue to show up here. Next slide. Jennifer, I won't spend a lot of time on this. The numbers are actually really skewed to people not living in Millstream. So all the people that are riding the bus are coming up from outside of Millstream into Millstream to stand at the little bus stop there. And it's initially was the reason was given was that it was dangerous for Millstream residents to cross the highway, but there's way more people coming the other way. Next slide, please. So Beta and Jennifer and I got together on the 16th, and we were just having sort of a discussion as to what the options might be for a new stop. And I asked, has anybody approached, you know, one of these local businesses that is on the highway to see if they would be willing to, you know, accommodate a stop or work with the district and BC Transit to have the stop on the highway. As it turns out, they're concerned, the owners of this business are concerned about their patron safety because their patrons are not locals, are not Millstreamers, and they're basically crossing the highway from the car shop, the boat shop to get the bus, and that's great. But he's concerned about his patron safety. So I asked if anybody from the ACRD or BC Transit had approached this outfit to discuss the possibility of setting the stop up on John's Way, which I'll show you where that is. And nobody had. So that was a bit of a surprise to us.
How close to the end are you?
I'm very close.
Okay.
There's a so where we're talking about here. Next slide, please. So if you look at this, if you look at the red now is where the existing stop is. The green is where we're proposing it. That's a public road access that's paved. It was called John's Way. There used to be a sign, but now it's basically just an open, I believe it's non-conforming zoning on that lot. And this part is paved all the way in here. And this area here is actually about 25 meters wide. So it's a large, flat, paved area right on the highway. So really, like, in my opinion, I think it's a much, much better location for the stop for everybody. And next slide, please. So the business owners, they're keen to have a discussion. They're very open to working with the ACRD, BC Transit to basically do whatever they can to facilitate or host relocating the stop there. And they see it as a benefit to their operation, their customers, their patrons, and the people in their mobile home park. On what I know about the MOTT and BC Transit requirements, the kind of mandatory things, this should meet all of them. I haven't seen one I don't think it would meet at this point. Sightlines, well, those things, somewhere for people to stand. So that's basically what we're proposing, at least the discussion take place. It would avoid, next slide, please. So if we can do this, the riders have a better, safer stop. Millstream residents get their neighborhood back. The ACRD gets a low cost, like you guys are talking about constructing stops and putting in paths and things like that. Well, there wouldn't be required if this was done. And as well, there's some trust to be rebuilt. BC Transit, they're going to have a much more efficient situation. And in terms of looping around Elliott Crescent every time versus pulling over on the highway, I think that's a win for them too. And the business owners across the way there, they'd be able to offer the bus stop as a benefit to their customers. So all around, I think it's kind of a win for everybody. And next slide, please, last slide. And we're basically asking the ACRD to contact the owners of this outfit and start a discussion and have a look at the site. And if an agreement is reached, we're asking that the change be made in the shortest time frame possible. And that's all I have for today. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you. Open for comments. Dr. Haggard, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to suggest that we refer this to the General Manager of Community Service and ask her to work with Director Siga and BC Transit to review applicable options.
Thank you. Is that a motion?
Sure, I can make that a motion.
Okay, is there a second, Dr. Siga? Second, thank you. Any further comments? Dr. Siga, did you have a comment?
I'd just like to thank the community members for coming forward and doing such a great presentation and trying to problem solve what is best for the people between the junction and town to have access to bus service. So thank you for presenting.
Thanks, David.
All right, thank you. Any further comments? Seeing none, could you turn your microphone off? And thank you for your presentation. Oh, Tom, sorry. Did you have your hand up?
No, I was going to reiterate, Beta, and I really wanted to thank Scott and Jennifer specifically at the West Coast Committee meeting where she an excellent presentation to bring those concerns, and Scott eloquently providing practical solutions to an issue that's been clearly identified in his area. And just with Scott there, I can see he's still in there, just the understanding, as you pointed out, the process of governance does take time. And so to recognize that it won't be a short, unfortunately, for many of these processes, but by your presentations and your persistence, Scott and Jennifer, that I think there will be a positive solution to this.
Right, thank you all. Okay, that brings us to the next item, item 5C. Oh, sorry, we do have the motion. Okay, all those in favor? All opposed? Yeah, motion carried. Okay, item C, we have Carolyn Ellis, a resident of Beaufort electoral area, responding to a temporary use application. Thank you and welcome. And don't forget to hit the red button.
Good afternoon. Pleco, and thank you for allowing me this time to speak. I'm here to respectfully address some concerns and or objections over some of the proposed plans of the permit application submitted by Jeffrey and Kara McKenzie at 8335 Beaver Creek Road, also known as Solstice Farm. My property sits adjacent to the McKenzie property, and I, as well as some of my immediate neighbors, have some concerns about the impact this proposal will have on our neighborhood. I would like to make it absolutely clear that I do not object to the proposal in its entirety, but only two aspects the Mackenzies are seeking permits for that will have a direct impact on me and everybody else in the neighborhood. My first objection in the application is to use 8355 Beaver Creek Road as a venue for events. This this activity directly affects me. The Mackenzies have already held several unsanctioned events on the property that has caused a huge disturbance in their neighborhood. On one occasion, they had a live band playing. This event was so excessively loud, and it went on to well after 1:30 in the morning. Because of our proximity to the Beaufort Mountain Range, we basically live at the very foot of the mountains. The noise reverberates off the mountain and right back at us. During this event, there was no consideration to anyone in the neighborhood regarding the noise. I cannot adequately express my frustration I felt that night. Even though the event was held on a weekend, not everybody works 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, and I had to get up at 4 a.m. to go to work on the West Coast. I basically didn't get any sleep that night. Again, approximately 3 weeks ago, a wedding was held on the property. I could hear everything that was going on at the party because of the use of the speakers and microphones. And again, the sound echoes off the mountain, and it is like we on Miller Road are at the event ourselves. The geography of the area creates a natural amphitheater. Those who live in the area can hear every detail. Fortunately, and to the Mackenzies' credit, this event was shut down at a reasonable hour this time. However, I feel it is unfair to everyone in the area to be subjected to this kind of noise on a regular basis if the permit is granted. It directly impacts us and our ability to enjoy the peacefulness of our property. It seems very unfair that we would have to put up with these disturbances on what could become a regular basis if the permits are granted. The second objection to this permit application is for a proposed campground or camping on their property. Campgrounds are notorious for issues that often center around noise, both day and night, but particularly during late hours, garbage and trash, concerned about unleashed pets, and a general disregard for the environment. I can confidently make these claims. I have firsthand experience. I have worked at the government-regulated campground at Pacific Rim National Park every year for the last 28 years, and I am well versed with the problems and issues and impacts the campground brings to an area. I deal with irresponsible individuals on a daily basis who fail to keep a clean campsite, attracting wildlife into the area, noisy, rowdy behavior of some people who come with the idea of we're here for a good time, not a long time. And despite clear, concise rules and regulations that is given to every camper, and with the additional support of wardens and wildlife officers, every year, without exception, I deal with campers who have little or no regard for rules and fail to consider the impacts of their behavior on those around them and the environment. And I ask how the proposed campground the Mackenzies want will be any different. Additionally, our properties are outside fire protection, and these types of activities will greatly increase the potential for accidental fires in the area. Again, this proposal has a direct effect on me and everyone who else lives in the area. In addition, there is already a campground in the area just down the road at Stamp Falls Provincial Park. If these two proposals are granted, I would respectfully request that the Mackenzies are given clear and well-defined guidelines and regulations that they should have to follow, such as reasonable hours of operations for events, restricted use of amplifiers and speakers to reduce the impact of noise in the area, also restrictions on the type of events being held. For example, I don't want to come home from work and find a rave in my backyard, and limited number of campsites if the camping is available. Finally, I'd like to submit signatures from 3 of the 5 people who live on Miller Road who also have concerns about this proposal. Clecco, thank you. I appreciate you listening to my concerns and considering our position.
All right, thank you for your presentation. Director Boyko.
Thank you very much for coming up here and expressing your concerns. So I was at the first fair that was there, and parking was a concern. Hundreds of cars up and down the road, both sides, very small area. There are some things that we need to figure out. But having a good neighbor policy, we always try and implement out there. And if the applicant is upsetting the neighbors before they even have a permit and doing things like this, as opposed to talking with them before they do things, we need to address that. So I'm sure we'll have a good chat about this afternoon later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Okay, great. I'd like to thank everyone for their presentations, and we'll move on to the next item in the agenda. So item 6 is correspondence for action. It's a request for a letter of support from the SOMAS Housing Society. Anyone like to speak to it? Director Haggard, please go ahead.
I make the motion, please, Mr. Chair.
Please go ahead.
I'd like to move that the Alberta Quebec Regional District Board of Directors provide a letter of support to the Sumas Housing Society for their funding application to the BC Housing Community Housing Fund for a proposed housing project at the former APD mill site.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Dr. Coots. Any further comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. That brings us into correspondence for information. Would anyone like to pull anything out? Dr. Boyko, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So items H, I, J, and K. So this is going to relate to a potential code of conflict violation with members of the Regional Parks Working Group that are going against things that have been voted on and approved in the Regional Parks Working Group, and using these letters as a way to go around the group that they are members of and chair of. So when you are part of a group and things you want to say something else, there's a way to do it inside the group. So if you're part of this ACRD committee working group, that's your place. If you want to write letters on top of that and do other things, there's a potential that you should not be a member of that group. So other members of that group have sent letters publicly to all directors and put things privately to other people. But I want to have a discussion. We can either do it in camera or we can do it now. I want to see what the other directors think. Thank you.
Thanks. I think we might want to do that in camera. They're specific to individuals. But well taken. I'll make sure that goes on the agenda for the in-camera portion, which has a separate agenda. But go ahead.
People might need to prepare, but we do have in camera today, but it doesn't have to be today.
Okay, that's good. We'll have that discussion at the agenda part of it. Would anyone like to pull anything else out? Dr. Sparrow?
Thank you. I'd like to pull out the Cherry Creek Waterworks District determination of official referendum results. They have handed them out, and Cherry Creek has spoken, and they do want to be independent, highly independent by looking at the numbers of votes. So I congratulate them on getting out there and voting and doing what they have to do. And I will support them any way I can going forward.
All right, thank you for that. And the only thing I'd like to ask is the C3 Alliance invitation to their annual resource breakfast. I believe that's during UBCM. So if somebody could register me, I'd like to go. I haven't gone in a couple of years. Yeah, that's it. Okay, Dr. Cote, please go ahead.
Thank you. Just like to highlight item F, Fisheries and Oceans Canada. There's a lot of interesting information there about salmon and drought responses, and it's been asking if anybody sees any specific locations that need to be addressed to bring that forward to CFO, and the contacts are there. Thanks.
Thank you. That reminds me that we used to have a lot of conversations around drought mapping, and I think we should continually bring that up, just because it feels like we're not getting answers because they don't have the info or they're not sharing it. I don't know which one it is. Both are bad. Go ahead, Dr. Cote.
Thank you. I do believe that there's a new grant that just came out like last week that investigating regarding drought water.
All right, thank you for that. Would you like to move to receive the?
I'll move to receive the information.
Thank you. Seconded by Director Boyko. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? The motion carried. Thank you. Alrighty, that brings us to item 8, which are requests for decisions and bylaws. And I believe we're in time for Terry to bring us through it. Just so.
You
So
are.
please go ahead, Terry. Item
Thank you
8A,
very much.
requested decision regarding grant funding applications.
Okay, so the ACRD has a grant opportunity right now for the Strategic Priority Funds, which is part of the Canada Community Build Fund. As a regional district, we're actually able to submit up to 4 applications, which is a combination of either capital infrastructure or capacity building grants. When determining our recommendations, staff really looked at all of our asset management plans and our strategic plan and developed one that would see the ACRD applying in different funding categories. We did not want to put 2 applications into the same funding stream. And then also really tried to make sure we stretch them across the geographical area as well in an attempt to give us our greatest chance of success. So the report outlines our recommendations, which include the Sprout Lake Volunteer Fire Department Harold Bishop Fire Hall expansion, the Long Beach Airport wastewater septic system replacement and expansion, the Bamfield Tsunami Warning System replacement, and the West Coast Landfill Design Operations and Closure Plan, which also will have a significant portion of it talking about biosolids at the coast. And in the report, we've also outlined kind of all the other projects that we did consider and kind of our rationale as to why we don't think they maybe would be a good application at this time. We do predict one more funding stream for the strategic priority funds in the next 5 years is kind of the promise at this time, but that could change. So we're hoping this is one of 2 intakes coming up. So we also know there's a bunch of other projects that are kind of in the queue that are not ready at this point that might be by the time we get to that next one, including aquatics, water treatment for Beaver Creek, multiplex. So there's a couple of big projects there sitting there that we just don't feel like are ready yet. So I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. I have Director Steer, then Director Boyko.
Thank you through the chair. Thank you, Terry, for the presentation. And I support all of the projects there. I did have a question though at last night's Tofino council meeting. We are applying for the strategic grant as well. And one of the issues that has come up is that we're applying for almost the exact same thing as the Sprout Lake Volunteer Fire Department, the Harold Bishop Fire Hall, and recognizing that we are geographically somewhat separate. I'm wondering if, in terms of the challenges around the very small pot of money and the realities of everybody applying for them. I'm just wondering if you feel that there's enough of a geographical separation that there would not be in essence, a conflict, or if the granting agency would see that as, these are, I wouldn't say identical, but very, very close projects in terms of the ask and need.
Yeah, no, fair point. I think that the answer from UBCM that we continue to get is that they're not done in that manner. They look at the merits of each application. I personally think there's got to be some bias to a little bit of that geographical aspect of it. But they do say that they really weight them on their own individual area. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one. We could swap out the Sprout Lake one. I would say that we have a lot of our Growing Community Fund and our Community Works funds tied up in that Sprout Lake concept right now, or that Sprout Lake project right now. And so that would free us up to do a lot of other projects that really weren't in magnitude make sense to apply for, because we want something of fairly significant magnitude in order to really kind of leverage these extra funds. But we could, the board could consider swapping it out for one of the other projects if you would like. But again, the UBCM line is that they're not analyzed in that way.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you. Director Boyko, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm concerned about the wording that says support any cost overruns of the project if successful on all of these. And it's the first time I've seen it. This reminds me of the North Shore wastewater treatment plant that went from $700 million to $4 billion, and taxpayers are on the hook. So why are we including that we will support any cost overruns if successful?
those words are very problematic to myself as director and as a taxpayer.
That
So
is
why
a
are we adding it,
requirement.
and can we remove it?
And it is a requirement in order to submit now, is that the local government must be committing, that they can't go back to strategic priority fund and say, sorry, our cost estimates were really low and we want more money. That we have to be committing to the project, including the cost overruns. Obviously, the board is going to see the projects as they roll out. And so if the cost estimates are inaccurate for whatever reason, then we will be bringing those forward as we learn more. Like some of these projects just have class D estimates. So as we get closer to that better class estimate, then of course we might find out things that we don't know now. And so at some point we may, if we were successful in a grant, we may choose to give it back because we aren't able to fund those cost overruns. In terms of cost overruns that occur as we're moving through things, then we would have to navigate that. But that's again why we try to get those class B estimates whenever possible, so that we're kind of removing a bunch of that risk from the situation.
Thank you for the information. And yes, it might be a good idea to have better cost estimates before you move forward with anything, because we don't want to be covering huge cost overruns of any project that goes sideways. Thank you.
Agreed. It's a little bit of a hurry up and wait project though, because we need to be shovel ready and what they determine shovel ready in order to apply. But these estimates only last for so long. So we have found if we do something more specific that we end up spending a lot of money on engineering dollars to make sure we have accuracy. And then if we aren't successful, then we're just repeating that exercise. So there is a little bit of give and take, but definitely before we proceed, we are now getting those stronger cost estimates.
Thank you. Next up, I have Dr. Coots, then Dr. Cote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my question might be partially answered with Director Boyko's comment, because I'm in agreement. I'm a little uncomfortable with the wording of this. However, if it's a requirement, I understand. I'm curious though, is it a requirement for it written as is, or are we able to identify a percentage? Like say if it comes back 17% over or whatever the board feels comfortable with, are we able to have a line in like that doesn't state that we're wanting to spend 100 times more than what was agreed upon?
Yeah, no, that's a fair question, but no, I'm pretty sure we stole the language specifically from there. So just give me 1 sec. Actually, if you want to go on to a next question and then we'll circle back as I find it, that would be great.
I'll fill it in for a minute before we get to Dr. Cote. My understanding of the reason why this requirement exists is so that we can't go back to the province and ask for more money. That doesn't mean we necessarily have to continue with the project if the overruns are too crazy. We can just kill the project. But what we can't do is string the province along and try to convince them to give us more money at every instance. Like that's what a vendor does. That's not what we should be doing. So I think that's the idea.
Yeah. I have found it. It says current board resolution indicating support for the proposed activities and willingness to provide overall grant management and support any cost overruns is the exact language in the guide.
Okay, thank you for that. Dr. Cote.
Thank you. So I'm prepared to make the motion. So I would move that the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors support the application to the capital infrastructure stream of the Strategic Priorities Fund for the Sprout Lake Volunteer Fire Department, Harold Bishop Fire Hall expansion, and direct staff to provide overall grant management and support any cost overruns of the project if successful. Do I do them all separately or?
We should do them separate because they're, yeah.
Okay.
Does anyone, seconding? Thank you, Director Sparrow. Any further comments? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right. Yeah, you can carry on if you want to.
Okay, I'll move that the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors support the application to the capital infrastructure stream of the Strategic Priorities Fund for the Long Beach Airport Waste Water Septic System Replacement and Expansion, and direct staff to provide overall grant management and support any cost overruns of the project if successful.
Thank you. Seconded by Dr. Siga. Any further comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
I'll move that the Alberni Claycott Regional District Board of Directors support the application to the capital infrastructure stream of strategic priorities fund for the Bamfield tsunami warning system and direct staff to provide overall grant management and support any cost overruns of the project if successful.
Thank you. Seconded by Director Bennett. Beckett. Thank you. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. I wonder how Tony's doing that.
And finally,
Please
the
go.
Alberni Claycott Regional District Board of Directors support the application to the capacity building stream of the Strategic Priorities Fund for the design, operation, and closure plan for the West Coast landfill and direct staff to provide overall grant management and support any cost overruns of the project if successful.
Thank you. And seconded by, thank you, Director Sparrow. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. I think that's the one. I think there's 4. Yeah, that's 4. All right, thank you, Terry. Okay, so that brings us to item B, which is a request for a decision regarding the South Long Beach new multi-use pathway maintenance. Michael McGregor, please go.
Thank you. So I'll just start with a quick backgrounder on this one because the governance can be a little bit confusing. So this is in reference to the multi-use pathway, paved pathway between the District of Ucluelet boundary to the National Park, Pacific Rim. And for our purposes, we can consider this in 2 different sections. We'll call it the old section, which is constructed around the year 2000. The District of Ucluelet holds the license of occupation with the province for that section. The ACRD has a contribution service where we contribute to the District of Ucluelet for the operations and maintenance annually. And then there's also the new section, so the section that the ACRD constructed, and we hold our own license of occupation that connected, the final piece of the old section to the national park. And we don't receive any funding for that. We fund all the operations and maintenance for the new section. So this kind of came to us because we had approached the District of Ucluelet to see if they were willing to extend their maintenance and be compensated to perform the maintenance on the new section. So there's some discussions on that. The council at DOU recently came with a motion that they weren't interested in performing long-term maintenance on the new section, and they wanted to get out of the business of maintaining assets outside of their boundary, although that they held a license of occupation for that infrastructure. So this was brought to the West Coast Committee in July 2nd, where there's discussion, and the following motion was passed there for consideration of the board. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know there's it's a few moving parts on this one. So
Thank you for that. Okay, would anyone like to comment on these motions? Director Boyko, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to confirm that all costs are borne by Ucluelet, Area C, and Tavino. Just clarify that. Thank you.
Yep. So for the DOU owned section, the ACRD has a contribution service, and those costs are within Area C. The regional parks own the new section, and regional park service through the ACRD covers those costs.
Okay. For clarification, yeah, go ahead.
So just to clarify, so the new section of the MUP, it's regional, everyone, so includes you. The old section that we're talking about here, it's just the Area C.
So when you say the new section, that's at 1 kilometer that went from the junction to the end of where it stopped a year and a half ago, right? Correct.
3 kilometers, but anyway.
What was that, Director Steer? Is 1 point something, right? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just going to make the motion when the time came.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Any further comments? Okay, see. Tom, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you through the chair. That the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors direct staff to investigate the assumption of ownership for South Long Beach multi-use pathway, including the request of a full asset inventory and condition report from the District of Ucluelet, and that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors direct staff to officially inform the District of Ucluelet that the contribution limit for the South Long Beach multi-use pathway is set at $7,000 for 2025, and that a maximum increase to $8,750 would be considered for the 2026 if the district was willing to enter into a maintenance agreement.
Moved. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Director Siga. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Director Cote, please go ahead.
Thank you. Through the chair to staff, what happens if the district is not interested in doing this work? Where would we, I guess we would just put out a request for proposals, or?
Go ahead.
Well, the work for the new section, that's something that we'll explore other venues. The work for the existing section, that's what we're going to do the research, because the agreement that was signed is that it is the responsibility of the district and we're making a contribution towards their responsibility. So in advancing this motion, we'll do our due diligence. We'll reach out to the district, ask for their real costs over the last few years in terms of how much it's cost to maintain, so we can bring all of that back in terms of expenditures and have the discussion. But it is a spaghetti ball. It's not a simple one, and that my understanding is that this section of trail was built on top of the water line. So it's not a simple handoff if they want the ECRD to take it, because it has a direct impact on their water line, and we do not want to assume responsibility for the water infrastructure. So it's we're going to tip our toe into the river and start the conversation where we have the best possible information.
Okay. All right, so that brings us into the next agenda item, which is a grant funding application with Farm Credit Canada. So Alex, take us through.
Thank you very much. I'll be brief. This is a request for partnership support from the Alberni Valley Food Security Society for a grant application for up to $25,000 from Farm Credit Canada. The grant would support capital expenditures to expand the community garden infrastructure and support the gleaning program that takes place here in the Alberni Valley. The ACRD would apply for the grant and administer it as a partner agency with a nonprofit society, and the project lead would be the ABSSS manager. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any comments or questions? Motions? Dr. Boyko, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I'll make a motion that the ACRD Board of Directors support the grant funding application as a municipal partner with the Alberni Valley Food Security Society for Farm Credit Canada Agri-Spirit Fund, and direct staff to provide overall grant management for the project if successful.
Thanks. Seconded by Director Cote. Any further comments? Director Sparrow, go ahead.
Thank you. I have one comment for the gleaning part of it, which is a great program, but how is it advertised so people know to contact? People come over and pick their trees or fruits or whatever. But that seems to be the problem. People they have a lot of fruit in their trees and they're going to rot and they don't know who to contact, how to contact. So can we look at that?
Sure. Through the chair, the program is run by the Food Security Society, and I have seen some of their communications, but we can make sure that that gets shared with the board, and we'll ask them how they advertise. And I know that we have often amplified some of that social media advertising online, and have helped push that out in the community. But I will certainly follow up and ask them to share that with this group.
Great, thank you. Right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further comments? Dr. Roth, please go ahead.
This may have been already covered, but it says municipal partner.
I
Are
think
we
that's
not?
Yeah, I think I remember we had something similar about this, and it had to do with the definitions on the provincial side or the Canada
Okay.
side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Terry?
Or
I can
Terry?
answer that. Yeah, it's just the wording that they do on their grant application, and under their definition of municipal, they do list regional districts as a municipal partner. So just stuck with their language on this one.
Thank you. Any further comment, Dr. Cote?
Thank you. The information or the point that Director Sparrow made about the gleaning and how people know, I'd really like to see something on our agenda or something to include about farm news, because there's a lot that always happens. And it's not very well put out there for people to know about things like the gleaning. Maybe we could have a presentation from the agricultural advisory committee, or someone from the Farmers Institute that would come and give us maybe a biannual report as to what's happening in the year, so that we can help advertise those opportunities for the community. Thanks.
All right, thank you for that. Further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All right, that brings us to item D, Echo Aquatic Center Review and Feasibility Study. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you. So this was brought to the AVB committee last month with the scope of work for this project. So quickly, the scope of work is to review the existing aquatic facility at Echo Aquatic Center and do a condition assessment of that facility, and then come up with a feasibility study for two parts. One to extend the life, offering similar levels of service for the next 20-25 years, and then another one is using the wet footprint area to enhance and have modern accessibility standards and whatnot to come up with compare and contrast those options, as well as previously done feasibility options. And that would inform a decision to bring to referendum. Timelines are tight on this one because we do want to go to referendum fall of 2026. So the goal would be to have this project complete by January 2026. And this was published where we got 6 responses. And after review, the highest rate was for HCMA Architecture and Design to carry on the project, and the goal would be to get running with full shutdown in August in coordination with the city staff too. Happy to answer any questions on this.
Okay, thank you. Comments, questions? Dr. Boyko, please go ahead.
Yeah, 2 questions. Are we going to have a community engagement portion of this $63,000? Like public meetings and talking to people and surveys like we did on the last one, or is it just going to be a look at it and give us options and costs?
No public engagement incorporated in this project.
So for
this section,
$63,000, we're going to get some good detail on cost and benefits. Second question is, when we go to a referendum here in a year and a half, less than that now, are we going to have 2 options for the public, or the $100 million pool, or the less than $100 million retrofit? Or are we going to sit here as a board and decide we want to give the public one option of the 2? Thank you.
I think referendums have to be one option. Daniel, go ahead.
That is actually a question that you are going to answer, and we're going to bring back to you once we have the details. So we'll have legal, we'll have examples on what can be used, and this board will make that decision as to how and what questions are being asked.
Thank you.
Dr. Cote?
Thank you. It's interesting. I talked with someone yesterday that said that they heard that it was going to be $8 million for retrofit of the pool. And I said, I don't know how you got that information, because we're only just getting a consultant now. So yeah, I think that we still have a lot of things to work on. Not only just the numbers, but I'm still not happy with the governance end of it. So working on that also. That's it. Thanks.
Yeah, it's interesting how people can come up with the numbers. There are folks who think our budgets are larger than the RDN. And I don't think we're larger than one portion of the RDN. So yeah, so I think that's that. Did we have a motion that we wanted to put forward? I think there's only the one for the recommended. Dr. Haggard, go ahead.
I'd like to move that the Alberni Quickock Regional District Board of Directors award the aquatics review and feasibility contract to HCMA Architecture and Design in the amount of $63,790 excluding GST, and authorize the CEO to negotiate and execute the contract on behalf of the security.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Director Sparrow. Any further comments? I see none. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, that brings us to item E regarding the log train trail update. Michael, please go ahead.
Thank you. So for this one, this is from the cow in from July. Just bring forward this motion. There's a bit of new information for it. So a quick background on that is that the cow had passed the motion to not pursue a parks regulation bylaw and inform the Ministry of Transportation and Transit that the Alberni Lake Water Regional District propose a communication campaign aimed at informing users and the public on clearly outlined expected standards of use. We did get some more information from the province just late last week that's included in the Chief Administrative Officer comment at the bottom of the report there. So that direct from the ministry is that they're unable to pursue the renewal of the log train trail agreement with permissions for ORV use without suitable enforcement or without a suitable enforcement management plan. So I think that puts us on back in our court about what the future of this plan might look like. And judging from some of the comments or incorporating the comments that were made at the cow earlier today, that kind of puts us back towards, the 2023 options report that was provided to the board that kind of outlined a few options for the trail. And those options were, status quo, go forward with a non-motorized lease without allocating resources to enforcement. Option 2 was to update the lease to include motorized multimodal, which was the supported option at that time, and that we've been pursuing that informed the management plan. Option 3 was to go with a non-motorized lease with resources towards enforcement. And option 4 was divestment of the trail. So, I think a good proposal would be to revisit those options with new context and new information and bring that back via a report to the Regional Parks Working Group for discussion. But happy to go over other options or considerations.
Thank you. Okay, comments or questions? Director Sparrow, please go ahead.
Thank you. In light of what's been happening more recently, including to the people this morning, in their area, the motorized use is becoming greater and more annoying. And up in the Cherry Creek area, which is the closest to the log train trail, which is sort of integrated around that area, they've moved log blocks out of the way, and they have 4-wheel drives now going on that part of the trail. So seeing all that and seeing how it's disturbing the people in the area, because the people are driving up and down the road quite rapidly. I would like to see if the Cherry Creek area, that area could remain non-motorized. If Beaufort wants to put the areas in their area, that's fine. But when it comes down to the residential area up there, people are driving up there in the middle of the night and they are blasting their music up. If the first 1.5 kilometers, 2 kilometers could become non-motorized, it would ease a lot of tensions in Cherry Creek, and the other rest could still stay where they want it. But that's my position, I guess. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Director Boyko and then Director Beck.
So I have a question. So we did a lot of community engagement and we had over 1,000 responses, and 80% of the people want it motorized. Now, there is an area of concern. And we all know where it is now that we've all seen the map and had a good chat about it. If we want to motorize the Beaufort section, however we want to describe that, and we want to move forward, how would we still need to have permits and enforcement and all this kind of stuff? Or can we just say, let's carry on their lives and move on?
Before that, what do you mean by that?
Well, I just heard that we had a response from Ministry of Transportation saying we cannot motorize it without enforcement. Okay. What does that mean? We're not going to sit up there with radar guns. We're not going to pay people and bylaw to sit up there. We're not going to do any of that. How would we actually proceed with it?
Yeah, I think it depends on the standards of what enforcement is, and I don't know the answer to that when it comes to these. Is that something that staff would be able to answer? Like, it says we have to have a plan for enforcement, and is that just, can we just do it complaints based, or what are the requirements and options?
Well, I'll speak before handing it over to Michael, but ultimately that's what we would flesh in. Now, we'd have to look in terms of if we were to split it apart, we'd have to look at where the leases, the potential leases are taking place and have that conversation overlaid. But at the end of the day, the contents of the plan the province is looking for, we would likely start with the position that the board gave us, which is what is the lowest, most minimalist approach that we can take, and provide options going from there. Michael, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, just to build off of or add the context of the conversations with the province, is that, their concern is uninsured vehicles essentially on the lease area. So I think the bones of that would be a regulation bylaw that's, adopted by the board and outlines the minimum expectations for use and etiquette and standards for, spark arresters, insurance, whatnot, and then how we enforce that. That's up to the board. There'd be a process. There'd be, we can allocate the amount of resources that you see fit. It could be low, could be high. I think have the conversation, and that's what the province seems to be requesting here.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Boyko, quick follow-up, and then we'll go to Dr. Beckett.
Would it be possible to see a copy of this letter from the government? Like what it actually says? Is it included in our stuff or not?
I think just excerpts, but it's via email. And yep, we could definitely
You just
supply
pass it
the
on
email.
just so we can have a quick look and have an educated discussion on it. But if all it wants is insurance and spark arresters, I don't see why we can't make that happen.
Yeah, I think part of it is just taking the time to have requirements and then have a plan regarding communicating and enforcing. And I don't know what the standard for enforcement is, so it could be anything. It could be minimal, right? So I don't know what that is. So getting a report on what that looks like would be great. Dr. Beckett, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have one question, one comment. The question is that what is the ACRD and the board's liability with respect to the trail and the management plan, or the lack of a management plan? So that's a question. My comment, and bear with me a moment, I lived in a community that elected to create an active transportation trail system throughout the community to get people to use the trails rather than the streets. And in theory, it was a great idea that you could hook up to regional trails, you could use existing municipal trails, and it was great. I had two trails very close to my home, and while the vast majority of people were very respectful, the children used it, the parents used it, kids going to school, families going out in the evenings, there were a minor number of individuals who were completely disruptive, resulting in noise on weekends, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. And it wasn't until the municipality went out and brought their bylaw enforcement people in and hired private security to patrol, especially on weekends, did those problems leave. So when I look at page 110, and there's at the bottom of it, the second last paragraph, the development of an enforcement and management plan as requested by MOT involves pursuing a process that would formally establish the rules and expectations, as well as define the procedures for enforcement in the event of non-compliant. This process would typically require the development of a parks regulation bylaw. And I with all due respect, I have to disagree with some of my colleagues regarding bylaw enforcement. I don't think this problem is ever going to go away unless you're not prepared to establish both a formalized plan and address some form of enforcement. So those are my comments. I have to state that. And it's based on personal experience that small minority of individuals need to recognize and understand that behavioral issues are not acceptable. Thanks very much.
Thank you for that, Director Beckett. Yeah, so getting an answer on what the enforcement options are would be a very good idea to include in a follow-up report. Okay, so in regards to this, what direction do we want to go? The recommended motion is that propose a communication campaign and not pursue a bylaw. But this seems like we may want to look at the option of what a bylaw could look like and compare that to the costs involved. And I honestly, I do think Director Beckett is correct. There will need to be some form of active enforcement. I just don't know what the standards of care are there. And 80% of the people who want to have this option, then the cost may be justified. I don't know. Director Cote and then Director Book.
Thank you. This kind of claims are quite frequent with MIA, so maybe we would like to call them, there's the Ask Us Anything. Maybe we could ask if there's anything that we can do or what kind of a bylaw we could write up. They can assist with that. Yeah, it's common.
Great, Director Blecko.
Thank you. Looking forward, I agree with Director Beckett. Vast majority of the people out there are great people. They look after the trail, they do a good job, they're respectful, they pull over, turn off their vehicles for horses, etc., etc. There is a small portion of the people. So we either need to figure out if we can be self-governing as a society to say this is not acceptable, or we're going to have to figure out something else. And that's what we need to do. Thank you.
Daniel, go ahead.
I just think in the interest of moving forward, it would sound like the next step would be to direct staff to do some additional due diligence around liability, contact MIA, understand that, and B, to take a look at what would be involved, what would be the new criteria that would be added to a regulation bylaw, should we bring forward, so that the board can have some time to talk about the parameters of what would be in. And then once we have that discussion, then we could actually either work on drafting or clearly identify those next steps that the board would like us to take.
And if we incorporate Director Sparrow's notion of looking at different sections having different rules as well, I think that covers all the bases. Director Boyko, go ahead.
Just as a final follow-up, I would like to engage with the formal ATV quad societies in town and say, what can we do with you to self-govern the community to reduce the appearance of problematic people at 2 in the morning with loud noises and stereos? So hopefully we can get that done the next month here, whether that's formal, informal, or just sit down and go for a coffee and figure it out.
Thank you. Director Beckett.
Thank you. And thank you for that, Director Boyko. The other side of that is, I think we have to make sure that we flush out those that have been negatively impacted by all users of the trail, not just motorized. You know, who are the bad? I don't want to. No, like, who are those that are not respectful on the trail, and make sure that we have a complete understanding, because I think that would be helpful in conveying that information to those who want this to be successful and want it to be a multi-use trail. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Siga.
Thank you very much. I just need to clarify. So if this does continue as a regional park trail, that means that all of the members of the ACRD are contributing. Is that the case?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so it seems like we should have a motion that would direct staff to investigate those 3 permutations or 3 options for future action, understanding that the province is requiring us to have a plan or have requirements for the use of the trail and a plan to enforce it. Would anyone like to move that? Michael, am I forgetting anything?
Just a clarification, investigation of the use, or are we restricting that to motorized use, or are we a broader regulatory regulation?
Knee-jerk reaction is a broader approach because we shouldn't be singling out any one type of user. I think, I don't know, that's just seems like the way it should be approached, but I don't know if that's a huge expansion of the work. Director Siga, go ahead.
Again, I would really like to understand the cost estimates for each of the proposed trail uses, because that will impact our taxation.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the undercurrent here, is that we're trying to minimize the cost, but also be able to do as much as possible. So it's just investigating what those definitions are. So thank you for asking that. Director Roth, go ahead.
Can I make the suggested motion?
Thank you. Would anyone like to second the suggested?
I'm actually not clear on the motion.
Okay, so the motion is to not decide anything on this yet, but to ask staff to come up with a report on the liability concerns, as well as the usage requirements and how we would enforce them. And then third would be, is it possible to differentiate the different sections of the trail and have different rules? Which the answer is yes, but like, how does that work?
And
Dr.
include
Boyko?
all users.
Yeah. Just be agnostic on the use, but have requirements for the use. Dr. Boyko?
Thank you, Chair. I'll second that motion, but yes, include all users. If someone's out there with a loose dog and spooks a horse and the horse goes down and need to put the horse down because it broke his leg, that needs to be covered as well. And we can't single out a user group as you are the bad people and everyone else is awesome. Secondly, make sure that when we are writing things down as options, we're very specific on what the province is requiring, as in, do we need insurance on a vehicle? Do we need spark arresters, full stop? Or are they saying we need other things as well? Thank you.
Yeah, and there's a whole level of can the local government issue permits to riders that kind of allow them expanded usage without having to check in or something. Director Coots, then Director Kotek.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a question more for staff, and I don't think that anybody will be able to answer currently today, but I'm just curious in regards to the insurances and pardon me, fire arresters and things like that. Are there any opportunities for us as a municipality to find grant funding that would allow us to reward the good users in lieu of punishing people for using motorized uses? Is there any grant opportunities for us to give a rebate back to those users who can come and show us that they have their insurance and so on and so forth?
The only framework I can think of is that we create like a permit system that has money up front, and then if you show that you have insurance and you've taken a course or something, then maybe you get a rebate, or you just get a discount on getting that. So it becomes a nominal fee rather than $80 or whatever. I don't know. Don't quote me on the number. I'm just pulling a number out of my head. Director Cote, then Haggard, then Sparrow.
Thank you. Through the chair to staff, can you please remind me what level of service a log train trail is? Because we have different levels. What it
The lowest level was 4. And so it's 4 on the entirety of the trail, with the exception of engineered structures, where the lowest level possible for engineered structures is a 3. That's, but Michael, do you want to clarify the number?
We have 11 bridges on the trail.
Please go ahead.
So when we went through this thing a year and a half ago, there was 2 structures identified. I know there is an engineering assessment going on in the background where we're not looking to increase our service levels by adding in all the 11 bridges and culverts and everything else out there. Just so we're very clear, that is not the mandate from the public. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Director Haggard and then Director Sparrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I fully support Director Sparrow's comment about trying to limit motorized vehicles in the Cherry Creek residential area. But as stated earlier, the city is having a lot of issues with increased motorized traffic on its property. So I don't want to forget about the city-owned portion of Loch Train Trail as well. How are we going to regulate those and limit motorized vehicles on the city properties?
Well taken. I think we'll have a lot of options available to us for making decisions on what portions of the trail get used for what, and what incentives and disincentives we can use to help control some or affect some of that behavior. Director Sparrow and then Dr. Cote.
Thank you. Is it possible to staff to get out there and put the lock blocks back in place to stop the four-wheel drives going on as they have been the last while? At least we can start slow down some of the traffic that shouldn't be on the trail at all, ever.
So, and in addition to that, were the lockbox removed by us or were they removed by users? And yeah, go ahead.
So the lock blocks were on what's called Andrews Lane, an undeveloped road right away. So it's outside of the trail corridor. The Ministry of Transportation has said, we need to stick within our own trail corridor. So, we could create a new barrier within the corridor, but we can't, add infrastructure outside that corridor.
Sorry. The answer is probably, but cost bearing would be subject to a report.
Yeah, and I as I think as we're all seeing, this is a large conversation that has a lot of technical details to it, but also has a lot of emotion tied to it. So I think for us, we're going to take it one report at a time, take one step at a time, have those conversations. I think there's an underlying theme here as well that is good for us and healthy for us to discuss, is that urban rural interface, right? So no one's going to deny that there's many interests in the trail use. There is an interface between the urban, the city, and us, the rural, and whether that urban line shifts to take in Cherry Creek or wherever that line ends up being, regardless of where it is, we're going to want to have a good plan for the interface so that we're properly obstructing access to the areas where certain uses aren't, and we're facilitating access over time to where access should be permitted. And whatever that looks like, we're going to have that discussion. There's lots of ideas and there's lots of concepts, but I think what we'll do is bring one step at a time and address those. And where we want either community engagement, we'll create a plan for that. Where we want to use the committee, we'll do that. And I think appropriately as identified, where we need to have conversations with ATV societies or direct neighbors, we'll make sure that we're setting tables for that. Because if we don't, we see the results of the letter writing campaign, which is healthy, but we want to make sure our plan covers all those aspects.
Director Cote?
Thank you. A couple of questions here. There's do we have a report or anything back from the RCMP? Are we partnering with them in any way on how we manage the activity on the Log Train Trail? And so as far as Sprout Lake trails go, we have walking, biking, horse trails. We don't want the quads on there because they destroy the trail. So we've taken measures, traffic strategic plan where we've placed rocks. So you can get around them, but you can't zoom down. So if there's strategic
traffic calming.
Traffic calming measures put in certain areas, that might be a solution, might help out. But I'd really like to know if we're working with the RCMP on this, because right now we're liable for the Log Train Trail and it says non-motorized. But if someone comes in without, where there's no sign off of a private property or something, we're still liable and they haven't seen the sign, and that could come up.
I think we can add that to the list of things that staff can look into. Yeah. Okay. So Director Roth, please go ahead.
I just have a quick question. What about electric bikes? I see them up there. Is that motorized or what would that be?
Legally, that counts as motorized.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Unless they can't go faster than a certain kilometer an hour, then they count as mobility aids, I think.
There's quite a few coming from McLean Mill up in that area. Thanks.
All right, thanks. Okay, so we do have a motion that's been moved and seconded to investigate further. We've added items to be investigated, so we'll get a good report at some point in the future. I think the work that will be done in the future on this, because it'll be a heap. I think just as a final comment, if the public want to use the trail to the degree that it feels like they do, and I may not completely understand the nature of the survey, I don't think we're going to be able to do it. We won't be able to have our cake and eat it too. I think if the usage is justified, we're just going to have to pay for it and go up a level or two, depending on whatever it is. But if that's not the case, then it's likely that we just won't do it. I think that's going to be it. I think that the trail is notable enough that it would be worth the investment, especially given the recreation it provides. But I may be out there. It feels like a cake or eat it too scenario, especially given what the province said. Director Blanco, go ahead.
Thank you. When we talk about these levels, it's just level 4 is minimal work, keep it gravel, keep it dirt, keep it maintained so it's flat, and keep it natural. We're not going to groom it back. It's not going to look like the Galloping Goose Trail in Victoria or the multi-use path between Tofino and Ucluelet. That is not the plan. That's level 1, that's level 2. It was clearly from the public that that's what they want. So we have to remember, we made decisions based on the aquatic center on 3.7% of the population. Here we had 12.5% of the Beaver Creek trade. Very strong mandate. Lots of people came in, they gave us a very clear direction, right? We spent, what, $50,000 on consulting fees for this, right? So we've already gone through this process. Revisiting it this time, I don't think that's required because you already know what you want. I want to address something Director Cote said by saying quads just destroy trails. I showed something this morning that the quads maintain and fix the trails too. So we have to balance both things as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. We do have the motion. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Alrighty, that brings us to item 8F, which is a request for decision regarding organic self-haul pilot for Bamfield. Jody, I think is, oh, there we go. Welcome. No one wants to sit next to you, Mike. Thank you and welcome, Jody.
Thank you. So the report before you is the proposed organic self-haul pilot program. So this report was presented to the Alberni Valley and Bamfield Services Committee on June 19th. So it's the creation of the pilot program that will help divert food and kitchen organics. The report outlines the background. So currently approximately 4,200 tons of municipal solid waste are self-hauled to the AV Sort and Go Center. Previous waste audits have revealed, so those waste audits were conducted in 2019 and 2023, that unseparated waste contains up to 30 to 40% of compostable organics. This presents an opportunity for us to reduce landfill pressure and support our waste diversion goals. Public engagement through the solid waste management plan also showed us the need for alternative diversion options for rural areas and households not part of the current curbside program. The current situation at the Alberni Valley Sort and Go Center has existing infrastructure to support organics drop off. However, few residents are using it. A review of self-hauled organic loads from 2022 to 2024 shows our participation numbers by subregion. And this is self-reported when residents cross the scale at the landfill. The current material under the organics coding system at the landfill is mostly yard waste, as information and data does not currently give us this information or differentiate between food waste and yard waste. So the pilot program overview would look at a 6-month pilot, and it would be launched in late August. early September. It would be open to residents of the Alberni Valley electoral areas, including Cherry Creek, Beaver Creek, Beaufort, Sprout Lake, and Bamfield, our First Nations communities, and City of Port Alberni residents that are living in multifamily units. Participation will be capped at approximately 50 households per electoral area and subregion. And the incentive package would include a $25 registration fee, and that would include a 5-gallon sort and grow bucket. These are the same buckets that we used with the West Coast Compost Initiative that was presented to the board, and they're made from the recycled ocean plastics. It would include a punch pass that would allow for 15 organic drop-offs in that 5-gallon pail. And then upon completion, a half yard of compost would be available to residents, and that is from our local partner, Earthland and Sea. The goals of the pilot are to increase organic diversion for those without curbside service, and it would help demonstrate the cost savings through reduced garbage disposal. This would also allow staff to collect refined data to help inform future waste diversion strategies as well. With the evaluation and monitoring program, we will collect data on tonnage specifically related to food waste, the frequency of use, participation trends, and participants will provide feedback through various survey mechanisms as well. A final report will be brought back to the board with recommendations. And if the pilot is approved, a communications plan will be developed that will include the various promotional tools of the program, including FAQs and how-to guides. So in closing, the pilot is a low-cost impact initiative that supports our waste reduction goals. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
I'll start with a question in regards to the Bamfield area. Is this something that would be done with the transfer station as well, or would it be limited to the Alberni Valley Sort and Go Center?
At this time, it would be limited to the Sort and Go Center.
Okay, all right, thank you. Director Boyko, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. What's the total cost to the taxpayer for this? Because I assume that a bucket and people's time and the half yard of compost is not free. So what is the total cost to the taxpayer, including everything? Thank
you. So the total cost is fairly limited since there is already infrastructure at the landfill for accepting this material. The buckets are already available, and the material is going to the same place that the city material is going to. So it's part of that program.
So people buy a bucket, they go there, and then that's all free. Right now, you're paying $10 to drop off a load, right? So you're losing that revenue. So there's a revenue loss. And how are they getting this stuff from Earthland and Sea? There's a cost to that as well. So, and 100 hours of time. I'm just looking for a total. Is it 10,000 or 20,000 or what's the cost?
That's a number I don't have in front of me right now, but I can go back to staff and get that for you.
That'd be good to know.
Thank you. Daniel?
Yeah, no, we'll just bring back the exact number so we can have the exact number. The $25 is meant to just cover so that's a fully cost recovered, but we'll get the exact, just better answer.
Thanks. Director Cote?
Thank you. So through the chair, a question around why is it limited to only 50 people per area? Looking at the numbers, Sprout Lake has 388 drop-offs in 2024. So it's kind of limiting people that want to participate in this, that may want to participate in this program. So just wondering why.
Oh, the way I read that is 388 total. But I think the way that the program was set up is that each of the 50 would have 5 drop-offs per year, 15 or 50. I didn't hear you right.
So you would get 15 punches per the cart. So we would limit it to 50 participants per electoral area, just as it is a pilot. So it helps us generate information on who's using it, as well as right now, when residents go across the scale and they have organic waste, it's typically yard waste. So this is specific to food and yard waste. So it's really just to generate, if there is interest. So we're limiting it to 50 as the pilot, just to gather that initial information. It is something we can look at expanding if it's really popular.
So if there was, say, 65 people that wanted to, or 70 from Sprout Lake, we wouldn't cut them off at 50, or we would?
We would cut them off at 50. That's where we're limiting the amount. We're testing to see the interest. If there is interest, we come back with a larger program.
All right, Director Siga, go ahead.
I think this is really good. This is important for preventing bear attractants in our neighborhoods. So it's a good promotion. I'm also wondering if there can just be one organics collection bin that can be provided in a neighborhood that is chosen, to see if people are good about putting only organics in that big bin, and then that bin could be collected bi-weekly or twice a month.
Are you suggesting an unmanned bin?
Through the chair, yeah, like a bear-proof larger bin that is on a normal garbage collection route anyway.
Sorry, I think the question is, do you mean like a commercial grab it with 2 prongs, or like an individual can per household?
An industrial, yeah, grab it with 2 prongs. You have to slide your hand in and flip the lid up so the bears can't get in.
I think that can be something that can be explored at the end of this process, but I don't remember reading that at all for this. But that would be interesting to see, because it might be a decentralized way to do it. Director Steer and then Director Boyko.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair, I was going to make the motion that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors support the creation of an organic self-haul pilot program to incentivize residents who self-haul waste to divert food and kitchen waste.
I'll second.
Seconded by Director Haggard. Thank you. And comments, Director Boyko, go ahead.
Thank you. Just for Director Sega, where we are, there is no organized garbage pickup. You can pay for a private collector, and there's a couple to choose from, or take it to the dump yourself, or whatever you want. So that's out there, but I'll vote in favor of this. But at the same time, I'd like to know the total cost of what this, so in a future board meeting, I'd like to see that brought to everybody. And a realistic one too, not just it'll be low. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? None. Director Siga, go ahead.
Yeah, I recognize that there isn't currently any organized collection of organics in specific areas, like I believe Sprout Lake and Beaver Creek. But if there was a bin that was sort of not far off of a city route, or a route that's already in existence that would do pickup, then in my experience, if people are wanting to get rid of their organics, they will bring it to a bigger bin. Thank you. Just to, don't create a whole new nest of expenses. Just
Thank you, Director Siga. We'll add that as something for consideration based on what we learn through this process. If it goes forward the way it's planned. Okay. Any further comments? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Oh yeah, Director Steer, you might not be able to actually vote or move because it's for AV and Banfield participants.
I just noticed that too.
Yeah. Okay. Would anyone from the area like to move it? Thank you, Director Coots, and seconded by Director Sparrow. All those in favor? All opposed? The motion carried. Thank you. Although I do commend your willingness to move forward the agenda. Okay, with item G is next, landfill tipping fee waiver for food bank on the edge. Please go ahead, Jody.
Thank you. So this report outlines a request for decision regarding a tipping fee waiver for the food bank on edge located in Ucluelet. So the background for this report, the food bank is transitioning to a new facility and needs to demolish their current building. They've requested support from the ACRD to help reduce the financial barriers during this process. The original request submitted by the food bank was for a waiver of landfill disposal fees for demolition of the building, in addition to a $20,000 financial contribution towards the building removal. At the July 2nd West Coast Committee meeting, the request was reviewed and the committee recommended that the board approve a tipping fee waiver up to $4,000 for the disposal at the West Coast landfill. So this would be the equivalent to around 21 tons and at the construction and demolition rate of $185 a ton. The waiver can be granted under the existing fee waiver policies pending board approval. So happy to answer any questions about that.
Thank you, Director Steer.
Yeah, I was reading this one with the West Coast participants. But I would like to make this motion then that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors approve tipping fee waivers for food bank on the edge up to a maximum of $4,000.
Thank you. Do a seconder. Thank you, Director Johnson. And then further comments, Director Boyko, go ahead.
Which areas will be impacted by this cost?
Looks like it's West Coast participants.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Alrighty, that brings us to item H, Salmon Beach Road Maintenance, Equipment, Material, and Labor Supply. Thank you, labor. Please go ahead, Eddie, welcome.
Yes, and thank you. I appreciate that. So this contract is staff put out a public RFQ for the road maintenance contract within Salmon Beach. We had one submission put forward from Tranquil Contracting. This is the current company who works just under a different name. So they have a proven track record. The roads within the community are velvety smooth currently. Within this contract, we have road maintenance, ditch maintenance, alder removal, siltation control, and brush removal. So the residents discard brush in the center compound, the community orbits around, and then they remove that and dispose of that on their cost from there. We have no concerns with this contract. The rates are well in line with industry standards, and we're hoping that the board will move forward with issuing this 3-year contract. Happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Director Siga, do you want to take this?
Yes, thank you. I'm happy to see that there is some brush removal from the ditches, and that's included in the contract. And I would like to move that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District recommend that the ACRD Board of Directors award the Salmon Beach Road Maintenance rate contract to Tranquil Contracting and authorize the CAO to negotiate and execute the contract on behalf of the ACRD.
All right, thank you. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Director Sparrow. Any further comments? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, that brings us to the next item. Item I, Millstream Water System metering. Back to Ed. Please go ahead.
Yes, and thank you once again. So this report is in reference to water meter installation within the community of Millstream. Staff were within the community in April of this past year for a barbecue and some public engagement, discussing future water model billing options. It was a great opportunity to engage with the community, play a little cornhole and hula hoop, and was really a good low-key engagement. Within that, the feedback was clear that a majority of residents did support moving to a usage-based billing model, which did require the installation of water meters. So we're hoping to add this to the financial plan moving forward from 2026 to 2030, contingent on receiving at least 50% grant funding. And then also to ensure that the project will be considered for community works funding moving forward. Happy to answer any questions on this.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Dr. Siga, please go ahead.
I'd like to move that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors direct staff to add water meter installation to the 2026-2030 financial plan for the Millstream water system, contingent on receiving at least 50% grant funding for the project. And should I continue with the next one or just vote on this?
Yeah, there's an and, so you can continue.
Okay, thank you. And that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors consider the Millstream water system upgrade project for community works funding. And this goes beyond the, this is to actually upgrade the water system. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Can be anybody, so I'll say Dr. Roth. And then comments. Dr. Boyko, go ahead.
I think if the people want to do it, go for it, but it's the first time I've ever heard of a community that wants to go on water meters. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. I think same. Any further comments? Director Siga, go ahead.
Having the water meters will help us determine where the leaks are as well, because currently with the logs underneath our community eroding away, there's lots of shifting of things. Thanks.
Thanks. That's a very good point. Okay, seeing no more comments, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. All right, that brings us to item J, alternative water source supply study for water treatment plants. Eddie, please continue.
Yes, thank you. So this report stems from a report that was brought forward to the Beaver Creek Water Advisory Committee on June 19th. That report and presentation from McElhaney Limited was discussing the feasibility of moving to a dedicated source and water treatment center for Beaver Creek water system. Within that attached report, the committee liked what it heard, but provided some more information, and asked that staff bring forward potential implications of land acquisition, a more detailed feasibility study cost, source water quality, and then move forward with First Nations engagement. So we did schedule another Beaver Creek Water Advisory Committee meeting for September, in which we'll be bringing forward a staff report with that information. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Roth, please go ahead.
Thank you. I want to begin by saying I'm pleased with the overall quality and thoroughness of the engineering report. It provides a strong foundation for decision-making as we consider the Stamp River as our new water source and the addition of advanced treatment. While I'm pleased with the overall quality of the engineering report, I want to highlight one important consideration. The engineering firm was specifically tasked with providing both capital and operating cost estimates as part of the Class D analysis. This was a reasonable and thorough approach for long-term planning. However, combining these two cost types into a single net present value can unintentionally create confusion. It may inflate the perceived funding need, especially when we're discussing borrowing or applying for grants, processes that typically focus on capital costs alone. To support sound financial planning and transparency, I would like the following to occur. Number one, clearly separate capital costs from operating costs. Number two, present capital costs alone as the basis for funding decisions or discussions. For example, the capital cost for the ultrafiltration option is approximately $9.8 million before contingency and inflation. Number three, include operating costs as a separate line item for rate setting and long-term financial planning. This separation would align with how infrastructure projects are typically financed. It would help the board, Beaver Creek taxpayers, and funding agencies assess the true upfront investment required, and it would avoid confusion when comparing options like continuing bulk water purchases versus building a treatment plant. So I'd like to make the motion now. And I move that the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors receives the Beaver Creek Water System Alternative Water Source Supply Study prepared by McElhaney Ltd. And that the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors direct staff to prepare cost estimates for land acquisition, water quality investigation, and preliminary design work on development of the Beaver Creek Water Treatment Plant as presented in the McElhaney report, including First Nations engagement, and further that staff ensure capital costs and operating costs are clearly separated in all future reporting and financial estimates related to the proposed treatment plant to support accurate funding applications, borrowing decisions, and long-term financial planning. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Director Boyko. Any further comments? Director Haggard, go ahead.
This is historical, so I don't know if anyone will be able to answer that, but if I'm reading the report correctly, Beaver Creek used to get their water from Stamp River, and then in 2014, it wasn't working, so they went to this start purchasing water from the city, and now they're going back to the Stamp River as the best choice for moving forward. So I'm wondering why you left Stamp River, and then for whatever reason, and now you're going back. I just need some clarification on the order of why you did these things.
Director Roth, go ahead.
Yeah, where we're going back on the Stamp River is actually at a different location on the river. It's slightly northwest above Truman Creek, or, you know, that's what the report came down with, and it's got a much better or a much higher quality of drinking water or water, you know, less turbidity. And it's to investigate it too. But yeah, that's why we're going back. And plus there was in the past, in the recent past, the mayor talked about not wanting Beaver Creek on the bulk water, that we were a low priority, and that she'd be happy if we had our own water source. But that's secondary. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any further comments? Okay, seeing none. I had a question in regards to calculating net present value for this kind of project. Seems like a lot of work to me, unless that's being used differently from my understanding of net present value. It's about my least favorite thing to do in econometrics. Okay, it might be different, but with that, I think that's a good addition. So any further comments? Dr. Kotek?
So along those lines, do we have that expertise on staff to be able to come up with these calculations? They're being requested.
Depending on how it's defined, because net present value is different in like a business environment. But like, I think McElhaney should be able to just click some buttons and do it. Yeah. Daniel?
Well, and we do, staff are capable of doing this. So, yes.
Thanks. Okay, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. All right, thank you. Item K is inclusive regional governance update. Cynthia, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. This report is to provide an update and receive the documents for inclusive regional governance. So as you may be aware, the ACRD is one of 5 regional districts that have been working with the province, and more specifically, the Ministry of Housing and Municipal Affairs on this work. So in 2023, we did receive funding from the ministry, as well as in 2024, to advance the work of engaging the 6 non-treaty First Nations in the region to advance non-treaty First Nations participation on the Regional District Board. And the first document, Governance Models Exploration Grant Report, is a comprehensive overview of what has been done to date, including documents such as the introduction pamphlet, fact sheet, orientation guide, and outreach survey questions that have been used to engage the nations. And then the second document was the ACRD Regional Services Finance Models, and that was used on the workshop that was facilitated by Terry with the other CFOs and finance staff in the region. So we have not confirmed if there will be further funding provided by the ministry or the province to advance this work. Currently, they have
noted that they are in year 3 of 5 of their action plan to continue to advance inclusive regional governance. So looking to receive the reports as well as get further direction on how the board would like to proceed, specifically if they would like to request further funding from the ministry.
Okay, thank you. Given that this is something I've been working on fairly readily, I'm pretty pleased with the results of the conversations so far. Because we're in year 3 of 5 on the UNDRIP action plan, which has inclusive governance as one of the items under municipal affairs to do. I think that we would be successful in getting funding. And I think the funding would shift to how do we help prepare both the regional district and the prospective First Nations under a pilot program project to actually integrate into the regional district if and when the legislation changes, either just for this or as a part of a full suite of legislative change to update the Local Government Act. So I think it's well worth it. I would also say that the new Housing and Municipal Affairs Minister is the former Minister of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation, and that we have a good relationship. So it's very likely that at the very least, if we don't see like the whole suite of legislative change that I think is necessary for regional districts and especially electoral areas to get the powers they need, inclusive governance is an easy win for UNDRIP. So we're at the forefront of it. I think we could be a pilot project alongside perhaps Strathcona and maybe a few one of the interior regional districts. I think the one with West Bank in it. So I think this makes a lot of sense, but we'll see. I think we have a good relationship with the municipal minister, and we'll be working on a good relationship with the new Indigenous Relations Minister. So I think it's worthwhile trying to ask for a continuation of the grant, given that we're not at the 5th year of the work plan. And we're really the only deal in town. We're the only ones making progress on this besides West Bank. So, Dr. Boyko.
Thank you, Chair. In the grant report, specifically page 18, there's a reference to the ACRD core team. Who is that? I've never heard that word before.
Yeah, so that's the people who've been staying involved in inclusive governance. So that's myself, I think Director Cote, and members of staff, Cynthia and Dan. So we're just making sure we're working with and Terry? Okay. Working with the eco plan on advancing those the engagement with First Nations and reporting to the BC government.
Okay, it'd just be good to know who's doing this, how it's defined, what roles are doing. When you see something that's a specific group of people, what are they doing? That kind of thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Okay, Director Cote.
I will make the motion that the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors receive the ACRD Inclusive Regional Governance Models Exploration Grant Report and update it as presented.
Thank you. Seconded by Director Haggard. Any further comments? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? For receiving. Okay, motion carried. Okay, you can continue.
Okay, that the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors receive the ACRD Regional Service Finance Models document as presented.
Seconded by Director Haggard. Any comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Finally, that the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors directs staff to send a letter to the Ministry of Housing and Municipal Affairs to request additional funding to continue to advance inclusive regional governance and schedule a meeting to determine a work plan for advancing next steps.
And seconded by Director Haggard. Any further comments? Let's make sure we CC our MLA and the Minister for Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, so that brings us to item L, Cathedral Grove invitation to BC Park staff. Would anyone like just to move this, please? Dr. Boyko?
Thank you, Chair. I'll move that the ACRD Board of Directors direct staff to invite BC Park staff to attend a future board meeting to discuss ongoing safety concerns at Cathedral Grove. Thank you. We all know it's a nightmare. Let's fix it.
Absolutely. Seconded by Director Cote. Thank you. I like that we're going to talk to BC Park staff because we've talked to Modi more than enough, I think. Director Cote, go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm disappointed that Modi isn't here today. I was expecting them. The people of my community are calling me and saying what a nightmare it is and that what is it going to take? Is someone going to have to die for a change, for someone to come forward and make that change? I drive through quite regularly, which I'm sure John does just about daily as well. And it's not getting any better. It's only getting worse. People are walking on the highway. People are stopping vehicles on the highway. It's really bad. Thanks.
Director Haggard.
Just some additional information. The city has also sent certain requests to the Ministry of Transportation to come to council to talk about this very same subject, and they never reply.
Can we ask for Minister Farnsworth or
The
something?
Ministry of Transportation is coming to the next board meeting in August.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right. Was that what you were going to say?
That's what I was.
Okay, okay. Okay, they are coming. Director Sparrow, then Director Cook.
So yeah, it is pretty bad. I went through there yesterday, coming home, and besides being all the normal chaos, when I was going through, there's cars coming towards me. One car was going to try to pass the other one, I thought, because they changed the same way as me, but they weren't going to pass me. They decided to park on the side of the road beside me. So they came at me, then they dived off the road into a parking spot. So I have a truck and camper. So I'm big and I'm heavy and I have two cars and I have split between them. So other than screaming inside the vehicle, it was quite calm. But that's never, I've never seen it before, a person coming from the opposite side across the traffic into a parking spot yet. But it's a first for me.
Not everyone understands physics. Director Cote.
Thank you. My understanding is there is a Transportation Action Committee meeting coming. I'd like to attend and also speak, just to say that we'd like something happening and that people in the communities are asking. So would that?
Sorry,
I'm not
are
on
you,
that.
you're not on the committee? Okay, we'll do a motion right after for that then. Okay, on this motion, any further comments? It's seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. And then go ahead.
I'd like to attend the next Transportation Committee meeting and as a presenter, just with concerns from the community.
Seconded by anyone? It's just permission. Perfect. Director Sparrow, thank you. Any further comments? All those in favor? A motion carried. Thank you. Okay, item M, Alex, letter of support for Farm to School.
Thank you very much. This is a request for letter of support to the Ministry of Health to reinstate funding for the Farm School BC program. This program works with schools around the province to provide gardening support and mentorship on food security initiatives in schools. In the ACRD itself, within the region, the Farm to School program has supported professional development at SD70 and has partnered on grant funding for a number of the schools to provide food produce to the students and to support their community gardens. So unfortunately, the province is not funding the Farm to School program for the 2025-26 school year. And the Agricultural Development Committee has brought forward the recommendation that the board send a letter to the Minister of Health requesting that this funding be restored and that this issue is brought forward to the UBCM if no response is received. Thank you.
My only suggestion is that we also copy this to the Minister of Agriculture and Food. Director Boyko? I think that's not a problem.
Thank you, Chair. Make a motion that the ACRD Board of Directors direct staff to write a letter to the Honorable Josie Osborne, Minister of Health and Minister of Agriculture, requesting that Farm to School BC funding be reinstated.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Director Roth. Any further comments? Okay, all those in favor? Motion carried. Please continue.
Thank you, Chair. Make a motion that ACRD Board of Directors direct staff to follow up on the response to the letter of support for Farm to School BC. And if no response is received by September, that ACRD participates at UBCM to bring the issue forward with representatives. And that the letter of support for Farm to School BC be forwarded directly to the EA Director for UBCM. Are we too late for UBCM motions at this time?
I don't know, seconded by Director Ross? Yeah, okay, answer the question.
Yeah, we're too late for UBCM resolutions, but we are not too late to meet with appropriate staff during UBCM. And what we typically do for UBCM as well is we send out a cheat sheet to all the directors on who the ministers are, because there seems to be a revolving door. And when we track them down, we just make sure that they have where an appropriate minister is of interest, we identify what it is that we want to flag with them. So when you're out and about and you do bump into a minister, which you will, you have an opportunity to sort of flag the issue.
Okay, so moved and seconded. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Oh, and you combined these last two. Is that correct? Okay, that brings us to planning matters. Continue with Alex. 9.1A is a temporary use permit. Please go ahead, Alex.
Thank you very much. This is an application to renew a temporary use permit that would allow for agritourism uses that include farm tours, events, educational demonstrations, and the short-term rental of a 2-bedroom house on a property located at 8865 Beaver Creek Road, which forms a part of the Shannon Dairy Farm. TUP was initially issued in 2022. The use of the property does comply with the Agricultural Land Commission regulations, and the TUP would be valid for an additional period of 3 years. The board first considered this application on June 11th, after which the neighbor notification process was completed. No correspondence was received from the public, and staff do recommend that the board proceed with issuing the TUP at this time.
Dr. Blicken.
Thank you, Chair. I will make a motion that the ACRD Regional Board of Directors issue temporary use permit TUP 2105 Romeo. Thank you.
Give it a seconder. Thank you, Dr. Roth. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Director Cote, please go ahead.
Thank you. Because this is an exceptional TUP, because we're going with the agritourism or the agricultural procedures and bylaws. I'm wondering, do the same rules and affect this, so the TUP could be removed if there was problems with the temporary use permit?
Through the chair, yes, correct. So it has a condition in there that the board has the option to rescind the TUP if the ownership changes, or if the conditions of use are nothing.
Thank you for that. Okay, that brings us to item B, an item, oh, sorry, we go into a vote. Sorry about that. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Problem is I checked it off before it was done. Okay, item B, a temporary use permit for Beaufort. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. This is another temporary use permit application for agritourism and agritourism accommodation uses. This one is on the property at 8335 Beaver Creek Road. The TUP would allow the applicants to operate a venue for weddings, markets, and wellness retreats, as well as petting farm tour, and campground uses. So these uses would be conducted in compliance with the Agricultural Land Commission regulations again. The board did consider this application on June 11th, where the board resolved to proceed with the neighbor notification process. That process has been completed, and one member of the public was here to present as delegation today. And we'll highlight that one letter signed by 3 neighboring property owners has also been received. That letter expresses general concerns about the application, including the parking, impact on traffic safety, noise, environmental standards, wildfire risks, privacy and trespassing, and just a general incompatibility with the rural character of the neighborhood. So the recommendation presented in the staff report is to issue the TUP, but given the correspondence received and the information we've heard, I will highlight that an additional option for the board to consider would be that the application be deferred at this time, but the applicants be invited to speak to the board as a delegation, to speak to their application, and that staff be directed to work with the applicants to address the concerns prior to the board making a final decision. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Dr. Blicken.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to talk about this a little bit. So
when this property was having events, the road was tight and blocked. There was hundreds of cars on either side. I was there. They need to come up with a plan for parking and neighborhood, good neighborly stuff. All those things, noise, trespassing, everything else needs to be addressed. So I'm gonna make a motion to defer this and not approve it at this time until the applicant can address the concerns, speak with the neighbors, come talk to planning staff, come talk to myself. We'll figure out a plan to make this work and not upset the entire neighborhood. The other people that are in this neighborhood that are having events, such as Beaver Creek Hall and Shannon Farms, they have separate parking off the road. And they have a way to reduce disruption in the neighborhood. So at this time, that will be the motion.
Would that include coming in as a delegation as well?
I would think that'd be a great idea. And I'll add that to the motion.
I think that's what I heard originally anyway. Do we have a seconder? Director Roth? Yeah, okay. Any further comments? Okay, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, that brings us to item C. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. This next item is a development variance application for a property at 1186 Third Avenue in Sand Beach area. The variance would increase the permitted building height from 12 feet to 15 feet, as noted in the staff report, reduce the front yard setback from 20 feet to 10 feet, and reduce the side yard setback from 10 feet to 4 feet to allow for the construction of a 160 square foot storage building. The public notices were delivered to neighboring residents and property owners on July 4th. In this case, one letter of support was received from a neighboring property owner and one letter of opposition, which is included as a late item for you here today. That opposes height variances in general at Salmon Beach, and also notes that this property would not directly impact their view. No additional correspondence was received, and at this point, staff recommendations that the board issue the development variance. Thank you.
Thank you. And Director Siga, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the letter is against this variance was a general feeling felt amongst the area planning committee as well, that why have these regulations if they're always going to have variances. So it's an ongoing thing, but they did recommend that this particular one be approved. So I would like to move that the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors issued development variance permit DVC 25003.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Thank you, Director Beckett. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. All right, I would remind everyone that we removed item D from the agenda, so we'll move on to item E. Alex, we have something for Spur Lake. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. This is a temporary use permit application for the short-term rental of a house located at 10407 Marina Vista Drive. The house would be utilized as an STR for the summer months, and the applicants have rented the house previously for longer-term staff accommodation over the remainder of the year. The property owners reside in Port Alberni and would act as the caretakers for the TUP, which would be valid for 3 years. The board considered this application on June 25th, after which the public notification process was completed. This involved advertisements in the newspaper and a mail out to neighboring residents and property owners within 100 meters. In this case, one letter was received expressing a general opposition to this application. We'll highlight that the letter is from residents of a unit in the Spur Lake Estates Mobile Home Park, which is just the east of this development, and that is included in the agenda package for you. Given the conditions of use that we have outlined in the TUP that intend to mitigate the impacts on the neighborhoods, staff do recommend the board issue TUP 25001, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Dr. Cote.
Thank you. The lots that are in this strata were originally developed for a lower cost housing for Sprout Lake. The portion of property that is towards the lake is commercial. This is residential zoned. I have a difficult time supporting rental units in the upper residential area. But I think I'd really like to have staff bring forward an update on how we could incorporate more input from the community as far as the change in allocation of these properties, because I'm sure that there's going to be more applications coming from this area where it was supposed to be meant for more affordable housing for people for permanency rather than short-term vacation rentals. I would like to approve this one, but it brings to mind that we need to look at overall what we're doing with the property at this location. So at this time, I would like to move that the Alberni Clay Pot Regional District Board of Directors issue temporary use permit TUP 25001.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Director Sparrow. Comments? Director Siga, please go ahead.
I just wanted to make a comment that in my experience, vacation rentals where the
Oh, you just, there you go.
Where the owners or a designated person is not living on site or within that block, it becomes very problematic. And I've actually seen a neighborhood fight over exactly this issue. So I would be happier to see temporary use permits if they are not actually living on site and managing them, that they have a neighbor that is willing to come forward and say that they will watch that property for them. Otherwise, it could be a problem. Just a comment, but thank you.
All right, thank you. Director Cote?
Thank you. I don't know that there's been a problem with this property in the past, but going forward, what kind of complaint system do we have? Like, is it one-off complaints that the temporary use is being abused because of noise or too many people, or because these lots are very limited into how many people they can rent to? So if they're not complying, what kind of regulations need to be adhered to for a temporary use permit to be removed? Thank you.
Yeah, through the chair. Thank you. That's a great question. So, as we receive complaints about short-term rental use, we would follow the normal bylaw enforcement process where we would engage with the owner to ask what's going on. The temporary use permit, includes conditions of use that allow the board to go through a process to pass a resolution to take away the temporary use permit from somebody if they're not adhering to those conditions. If there was an issue that staff felt was warranted to bring forward to the board, if it was a continual issue with overcapacity or noise or partying or anything like that, I think that as staff we would bring a report to the board and highlight the mechanism for going through the process to remove the TUP if that were the case. I'll also highlight that the province has an STR enforcement process now as well. So with their host registry that the province is managing, they do have an enforcement branch of that. So if you're not complying with the province's rules, they will they have an ability to undertake a process to enforce that as well, and they could remove your licensing from that would not allow you to rent on the online platform. So there are a number of options, and I think we would deal with it on a case-by-case basis, and we would bring a report back to the board.
I have questions I want to ask, but I think I'll just ask them offline. Okay, any further comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, that brings us to the final item in planning, item F. Oh, it's rezoning. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. This is a rezoning application for property in Beaver Creek area, 6317 Walker Road. Property owners are applying to rezone the parcel to RA2, which would support a 0.4 hectare minimum lot size and facilitate a proposed 3-lot subdivision. The board did give this bylaw 3 readings on June 25th, following the completion of the public notice period. No correspondence was received, and the technical referral agency comments that we had received were supportive. So at this time, all conditions of rezoning appear to have been satisfied, and staff recommend that the board adopt bylaw P1525.
Thank you. Director Roth, please go ahead.
Sure, I'd like to move that bylaw P1525, Regional District of Alberni-Clayoquot zoning amendment bylaw be adopted.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Thank you, Director Sparrow. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, so that brings us into the next section, 10.1, our staff reports. We have agricultural water plan project, what we heard, food security emergency planning, what we heard, meeting schedule for August, building report, monthly agreement and grant delegation report, which I really appreciate, by the way, and the procedure bylaw review, which we went through at the committee of the whole. Any further comments? So there are a pair of motions here. One of which is that the Alberni-Clayoquot.
We're gonna not do that motion.
We're not gonna do that one? All right, thank you.
We didn't finish the discussion, so we'll just wait until.
Okay, I was gonna read it out and then, but yeah, that's great. Okay, thank you. Any further comments? Would anyone like to pull anything out, including staff? Susan? Oh, Director Roth, please go ahead.
I'd like to move that the Board of Directors receives the staff reports A to F.
Thank you. Seconded by Director Steele. Any further comments? Dr. Cote, please go ahead.
Thank you. So 10.1A, the water, agriculture water plan project, what we heard report. Very interesting. And I just want to make note that there was a grant that came forward opportunity that I'd like to talk to staff about. Letters of support that require at least 2 collaborators. So looking at water supply assessment and feasibility study, including a detailed analysis of water supply and demand. I'd really like to move forward on this. I think that because they require more than one, just the agricultural committee or community, that potable water and have been identifying water as a focus that I'd really like the regional district to move forward with regarding long-term water sustainability for our communities. So I'm hoping that maybe we can apply for this grant. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we have already committed through something I believe Director Roth put forward months ago about just the importance of water. So I think that's already there, but we having a motion to apply for the grant. Yeah. So can we just do that motion right after? We'll do the motion right after. Okay. So on receiving the reports, any further comments? Further comments? No? Okay, all those in favor? All opposed? The motion carried. Okay. Go ahead, Alex.
If I could, yeah, thank you. So I know that this grant upgrade was actually discussed at the last agricultural development committee meeting last week, I believe it was. So Tom O'Dell, who's the staff rep on the ADC from the Ministry of Agriculture, presented this as an upgrade. So I know some discussions are happening, but I can certainly follow up with that committee and with Amy to make sure that we take advantage of this if we can. Thank you.
Okay, do we need a motion then? Is that something that should just go on the agenda for that? Yeah, it will. Is that okay? Okay. All right, that brings us to committee reports. We have one from the Alberni Valley Regional Airport Advisory Committee, which is a verbal report, but I don't know who's giving it. Yeah, not June. Thank you. Thank you for that, July. Would anyone like to give a verbal?
Usually one of the directors does it. I think Director Cote and Sparrow were there.
We can always defer this to the next meeting. It's just, it'll be a month. Is there anything salient that we need to verbally report on?
Okay, some of the things we did discuss, we did some more lease options for certain areas. But also they're going to do a report, a detailed report on the whole making on where we are and what we propose and how we're gonna move forward. So people can see where the costing is and what the leases are all about and how we are progressing along. That's one of the reports they're gonna make, so we can see how well the ACR, the ABRA is doing now as compared to what it was designed to do, and so we can prove to people that this was a good project and we can move forward, and there's some ideas in the pan on how we get more done. So I think we have 2 leases we just signed off last meeting, and there may be more coming up. Go ahead.
So I watched the meeting last week, and there was one thing that I'm quite concerned about. When we added the Coulson representative onto the board a year ago, and I'm going to read this line by line here. The discussion was, if there is anything on the board, financial decisions such as rate increases, things like that, that the Coulson person would declare a conflict of interest and leave the meeting. And then part of the conversation after that said, yep, conflict of interest. And if they don't do it, it'd be a code of conduct violation. So when this discussion on the Coulson rate increases and leases was taking place, the Coulson representative did not leave the meeting. I want to know why that happened and make sure that it doesn't happen in the future. Thank you.
So we had a admin staff person in the meeting taking the minutes. It was the first time she had to put somebody in a waiting room and she struggled with it. I noticed she was struggling, so I came in and helped her. So there was maybe a 2-minute discussion while he was in the room, and then he was removed.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. Any further comments, questions regarding the?
Yeah, so 2026, the Flying Club is looking at doing another fly-in. And we looked at ways that we were talking about ways that we could promote the airport and show the community positive measures that have actually been happening. There was also a video that Nancy Wilmot does that was presented in showing the community what the value is of our investment in the airport. We're getting the word out there. We're having great successes out at our airport and really want to highlight them. Thanks.
Thank you. She said yesterday that the ACRD is actually paying her for the videos. Is that true? And how many is happening for that? Thank you.
That is news to me, but I will.
Specifically, she said that the city is not paying her, but the ACRD is paying her for the videos the scoop is good. Thank
you. We'll look into it. Cynthia, do you know?
I believe it's through the community services department. So you'd have to check with Jenny when she returns.
All right, thank you. Any further comments on the airport advisory? It's seeing none, we'll move to the next one. In regard to the committee, the whole meeting from today, I guess I'll give the overview. So we had 2 kind of substantive items. One was Mr. Moen came in regarding the off-road vehicles using public roads. This had to do with the log train trail. So we had a good discussion about that, and you can see the product of the discussion moving forward in this item. And then we had a procedural bylaw review, a report and presentation. So we're continually going through the different sections of our procedures bylaw, just kind of like the Robert's rules of how we conduct our meetings, not just at the board level, but at a committee of whole level, committee level, so on and so forth. I think the highlights from that discussion are twofold. One of which was a broad-based support for adopting some form of technological means of not only recording our meetings, but tracking our votes and potentially timestamping those votes as well. It's something that is robust and easy to do and kind of will likely save us time. And I think that's good, but it will also increase the amount of information available to staff, directors, members of the public, members of the press in regards to a whole manner of things, and it'll be available pretty much at a click. So there's value there. And then the second was a large and good discussion regarding when we hold our meetings of the board and the various trade-offs in regards to holding them in the morning, or like we do in the afternoon, or after hours, or somewhere in between. And so we deferred making a decision on that to receive more information and options on, is there a significant difference between 4 p.m. and holding it at 7 p.m., especially given that we do have West Coast and other further out members of the board, and so on and so forth. So that'll be a discussion that we'll have more context to get there. And then we did cover a few other things, but I think those are the two major items that we discussed. And yeah, we'll continue moving through the procedures bylaw through committees the whole, so we can have some good conversation about each section. That's pretty much it, I believe, unless there's anything anybody else wanted to pull up. Okay, seeing none, could we have a motion to receive the verbal reports? Thank you, Director Boyko, Director Coops. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you all. That brings us to area reports, and then afterwards we do member reports. So 10.3, we'll start with electoral area A, Banfield. Director Beckett, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The long weekend in August, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, the Banfield Volunteer Fire Department is having their annual fishing tournament to raise funds for the fire department and first responder program. It truly is a family event. There is a first, second, and third place prize for the largest fish. However, more importantly, there are so many sponsors, generous sponsors, that provide amazing gifts that I would suggest that 60 to 75% of everyone who registers goes home with a beautiful prize. And it's $30 a rod, $30 a ticket. So come one, come all. If you're coming out to fish, make sure you look me up so I can buy you a coffee, tea, or something a little bit stronger. Thank you.
Thank you. I would note today the Globe and Mail just published a great article about the reporter. He's just a Globe and Mail reporter. He went on vacation in Banfield and wrote an amazing piece about Banfield. You'd have to buy the Globe and Mail, unfortunately, but it's quite good. So I'd look. You should look it up. It's good. It's quite good.
Did he mention the salmon capital of the world being Banfield, or am I?
I'm going to be controversial. He did not mention Campbell River. No, I'm just Director Haggard did not take the bait. I will note for the record. Okay. So with that, I really look forward to the fishing tournament, even though I may not be able to partake given travel, but that's amazing. So thank you. Next item is electoral area B, Beaufort. Dr. Boyko, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Things are going well in Beaufort. We're all concerned about the forest fire ratings and the dry weather, and there's no rain predicted in the future. People are cutting their second cut of hay right now and bagging and piling that up. So hopefully they get enough water to do a third cut later on. But things are progressing well, and it's nice and quiet out there, like we like to think.
All right, thank you. Electoral area C, Long Beach. Dr. Siga.
Thank you very much. It's the usual congestion for summer. The announcement by our Prime Minister that there was free park access. It's unfortunate he didn't suggest that those months for free access be on the shoulder season rather than the high season, because we now have again illegal camping in provincial parks and along the roads here. But the bike path is being well used, which is really nice to see, and no incidents that I'm aware of. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Next up is electoral area D, Sprout Lake. Director Cote, please go ahead.
Thank you. A few things. Just want to report out that Domtar has replaced the weir plates. Sprout Lake is at a low level. So they report to the SOMAS fish flow. So really grateful for the participation there. I met with a group who want to work with the regional district. My later notice to motion will be coming up shortly. regarding that, I'd like to work on incorporation study, to see where we're at, in comparison to 2005. Lightning on the Lake is a big success, race boats. Everybody had fun racing. I wasn't around to see it this year, but I hear it was very good, very well attended. Next week, I'll be doing a road tour with Modi on Sprout Lake and the roads. We always look at the road conditions annually, so looking forward to that. With the Sprout Lake Community Association has a road committee, so we'll see who can make it. And just wanted to say thank you to the regional district. The Sprout Lake Marine Patrol are on patrol, and they help making sure that Sprout Lake is a very safe place. They did a tour, school tour, and promoted safety on the water to all the schools. Thank you to the Marine Patrol and Regional District.
Thank you. Next up, we have electoral area E, Beaver Creek. Dr. Roth.
Thank you. I've noticed many people in Beaver Creek have new above ground swimming pools, a lot more than usual, some in the front yards. So it's kind of cool. They're keeping cool. It's all good. I haven't heard any complaints other than Lamarck Road. It's been shut down for quite a long time. And I'm not sure why, but I think that's a Ministry of Transportation and Highways issue. And that's everything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For the next up, we have electoral area F, Cherry Creek. Dr. Sparrow, please go ahead.
Thank you for that. Things out at Cherry Creek are pretty good right now. They finished their study for referendum. They want to stay independent. That's good. Now they're putting up their steel structure for the new fire hall. So they're let me dry here. Well, on the way to that. So it's all good up there. As Director Roth, the reason you're having a culvert issue is the fish window's not open until next month. And then they can replace it. That's why it's been shut down so long. Just so you know.
Thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Next up is item G, the City of Port Alberni. Dr. Hager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For those who haven't heard yet, IGB Housing has purchased the former Sun Group building on Staff Avenue. They manufacture prefabricated homes, and Fraser View Cedar has purchased the former Coastal Mill site. Although he has a different name now, I didn't hear exactly what it was yesterday, but I'll try and get it tomorrow. Yeah, I didn't get the new name, so it's not Fraser View Cedar, it's something else now. Both people seem to really be community minded and are eager to come to Port Alberni. They're very excited and they're happy to work with the City of Port Alberni, which is very refreshing. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Next up, we have District of Tofino. Dr. Steer.
Yes, thank you. Just it's the busy season in Tofino, as Director Siga has pointed out on the West Coast here. So yeah, all going well out here, and we hope for a little bit of rain to mitigate some of our ongoing water issues.
Thank you. Next up is item I, District of Coolidge. Dr. McEwen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. June 28th, we had our by-election to replace Councillor Kennington, and Mako Noel was the successful candidate. And as you probably all know, he was our former mayor before my term. And so he is now on council with me once again. And this weekend is Yuki Days. And if you've never attended Yuki Days, you really should come down and see what it's all about. That's it for me.
Thank you very much. Next up is myself for Hooyet. So Hooyet has been, we played host to the Pachina Bay Music Festival not too long ago, I think just last weekend. Apparently that went really well. Next weekend, on the 26th, we'll be hosting our 25th year anniversary for our House of Hooyet, which had its official opening in, I think, July 22nd of 1999, or something like that. But we'll be having a full day event. So if you have time to come and see, it's going to be held in kind of a traditional style of visitors coming in. You know, apparently we have people from Nisga'a up north to come and perform some of their culture for us, and really look forward to that. So if you can make it out, please do. I think I may have some cousins coming as well, but we'll see. In addition to that, say again, on the 26th of just this Saturday coming up. So it officially opens at 9:30, but this is something that's going to go on potentially into the evening as well. So yeah, please come in. Just make sure you bring something to, to make yourself comfortable, and yeah, be prepared for a good day. So yeah. And then lastly, we participated in Victoria, but co-hosting with the Monmouth First Nations. So 4 of the nations are here, and then 1 more in Strathcona with Cayuga-Checklasset. We interacted with ministers from British Columbia. We co-hosted. We actually held a dinner and cultural event in the BC legislature with the speaker's permission the day before. It was a good day, especially co-chairing the meeting with Minister Christine Boyle, who moved on to the Ministry of Housing and Municipal Affairs. So I won't stay a stranger with her, but it went really well. And so we continually make progress in moving forward, not just our own interests, but our own combined interests as Monmouth nations, and making sure that we talk about the fact that we're participants in the economy, participants in the community, and making sure we're always working together and making things better. And I think that's it for us for now. Next month, before our next meeting in the middle of the week or middle of the month, can't remember which day it is, but we will be hosting Kuwait Days in our territory as well. So if you're down at Pachina Bay, in our private campsites area, we'll have a bit of a community event there. And that's always a great time as well. So that's it for us. That brings us to Tokwat. Dr. Johnson, please go ahead.
Afternoon. So Tokwat, we're hosting our 3rd annual Two Rivers Remix Movable Feast Festival, August 22nd to the 24th. That's at Makoa. We have lots of capital projects still ongoing. And then we've hired new lands and resources staff. So we're keeping busy. And that's about it.
Great. Thank you very much. Next up, we have the Checklasset government, Dr. Kutz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, busy. It's the most wonderful time of the year, as we say. It's harvesting season. Everybody's busy. We had a citizen who was able to come and fulfill our sockeye contracts for us. So they were very happy to be out on the water. All the elders were very happy. I too was quite happy to have my first fresh fish. Can never complain. We are busy getting ready for our own kind of gatherings. We have our annual citizens picnic that we put on August 20th, and we're looking forward to it. We are, I think, if I recall correctly, staff's looking at a number of 220 of us. We had about 180 last year. So yeah, we have more of our citizens coming up from the States. We're very excited about that. Lots in the works. We hardly ever see our chief anymore. He's busy doing lots of things. So I'm hoping that, fingers crossed, soon to come, we'll be able to talk about them. Bucko.
Yes. Yes. Just realized I can't say anything. But yes, I really look forward to the future from Checklasset. That brings us to Lavana is no longer connected. Okay, so we'll just skip. Could we have a motion to receive the reports? Thank you, Dr. Boyko, seconded by Dr. Johnson. Any further comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, that brings us to item 10.4, member reports. Item A is the 911 Corporation. Director Beckett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We met last week, the Cowichan Valley Regional District, or CVRD, renewed its contract with North Island 911, and that's important that we continue to keep and attract as many members as possible, and even potentially expand our dispatch services here on Vancouver Island. Also, North Island 911 signed extended their backup agreement with the Regional District of Fraser Fort George. And essentially that means that if anything ever happened at Campbell River with dispatch, we could automatically be dispatched out of Fraser Fort George. So we've got that redundancy built in. And then, of course, there's the ongoing financial work that the board does or the commission does. That's my report, sir.
Thank you very much for that. Next up is the Vancouver Island Regional Library, Dr. Boyko.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing to report, no meeting. There is a financial audit meeting this Friday that I will be attending. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Next up is the Alberni Valley Chamber of Commerce. Dr. Boyko.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing to report. I don't get any of the meetings from the Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to remind people, specifically the mayor, that if you can't make a meeting, you're supposed to pick the directed alternate, not one that you choose from the city councilors for a meeting. Thank you.
I just want to correct you. She doesn't ask somebody to go in her place.
It happened with Councillor Mealy about a month ago. He went to the AGM instead of her picking the alternate that is directed by the ACRD board. Thank you.
Anybody can go to the AGM.
Okay, but for the ACRD, I think is the point. Is that what it is? No?
To
Go ahead.
represent the ACRD, there's specific people. Now that the ACRD is paying a significant portion to the tourism center that goes to the chamber, there should be ACRD representation there. If not, it's only city representatives that go to these meetings. That's not right. Thank you.
Okay.
You could have attended. Anybody can attend the AGM.
Okay. Let's figure that out in a separate conversation. Maybe we can get a report on how it should work, and we'll have that conversation. Bringing us next to item D, the Air Quality Council for Port Alberni, Dr. Sparrow.
There's no report to report.
Quick and easy. AVICC, Director Kotek.
I've always got reports. Just that UBCM resolutions are coming forward, and AVICC executive have offered to assist with meetings and support resolutions and meetings if required or requested. And that we have our AVICC lunch at UBCM also. If you're attending, please join us. We're also looking at representation at UBCM. Very disappointed that this year that the only representative AVICC has from our area is the appointed president of AVICC on UBCM. We have no other representation. And when you're at UBCM, you're appointed to different committees, and with only one rep, you can only attend 2 meetings, which really does us a disservice. Last year I ran, but so did 8 other people from AVICC area, and the votes were split. We didn't end up with anybody on the board. So we're trying to make some changes. We've asked UBCM to find out a different way of getting representation so that we're all covered. The Abbotsford rep also was very disappointed because there's very little representation from that area, which the voice of agricultural lands there is not represented anymore. So there's some issues. Thank you.
I'd say that this is known to UBCM as well, because I had a call from Trish Mandela about that too. So that's something that we can maybe discuss offline as well, because there's some strategy. But well taken. Good.
So
good
if
points.
there's someone that's wanting to run from our area, we need to publicize it and let AVICC know and support them. Thank you.
That is exactly what Trish said. So thank you. Okay, next up is Walk-in Public Advisory Group, Dr. Sparrow.
Thank you. There will be one meeting is in November, so it'll be a while before I have a report. Thank you.
Fair enough. Are there any other member reports? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Could we have a motion to receive the member reports? Thank you, Dr. Sparrow, seconded by Dr. Coots. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, we don't have any unfinished business, but we do have one piece of late business. 12A is a notice of motion regarding information about the Sprout Lake Incorporation Study Grant. Go ahead, Dr. Cote.
Thank you. So I would like to make notice of motion to staff to bring forward information regarding Sprout Lake Incorporation study from the provincial grant and the process on how we could move that forward for the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Director Boyko, go ahead.
So thank you, Chair. So just to clarify, this is a update on the incorporation from 20 years ago? Or is it a restart, or how does that work?
So that's what I'd like staff to be bringing forward is information on the grant. We do have a 2005 incorporation study. It's 20 years old. Whatever we can use from that would be great. I think that we've got 20 years of change that's happened. Want to keep an open mind when we go into something like this. I would refer to the province to give us some guidance as far as how we should be approaching this. We do have this group of concerned citizens that would like to know, what's the difference between back then in the day. The group that was part of the study basically tabled it, said, we couldn't afford it. But it did say in the study that we were supposed to bring something back, and we never really did close the door. So looking at that, the group said, like, what would we do? Would we just relook at the old study? And I always like to have an open mind when I go into anything. There's new information. It's like when anything is on the agenda, you come, you think about things, you come here, but you have to have an open mind, and you make your decision then. So I'm hoping that there's new information that they can bring forward. That's it.
So I think the purpose of the notice of motion is just for you to clarify that this is the intention, and you'd like to arrive at some sort of decision to delve deeper or not, so on and so forth.
And we'd like to apply for the grant, because there is one available.
So it's just to make sure that there's work to be done on making sure that the whatever motion is passed then is unambiguous and is direct in its intent. Okay. I appreciate the notice, so I think that works. I don't think there's a motion that's needed for that though, so yeah.
The notice of motion simply puts on notice that the motion will be discussed at the next meeting.
Okay, great. That brings us to the next item, question period. Do we have anything in the Q&A chat or in the responses email address?
Yes. We have a question in Zoom from Mike Lasowski. Question is directed towards Director Sparrow's comment about making the Long Train Trail in Cherry Creek. Did you get your opinion from asking the majority of residents or a select few residents? Remembering that if the Long Train Trail was not blocked by certain residents taking over that piece of land, motorized vehicles would not be on the roads.
Okay, thank him for his comment. Yeah, would you like to respond at all, Dr. Sparrow, or just leave it? Okay. With that in mind, that brings us to a recess. If we can have a motion to recess to go into the regional hospital district.
Sorry, did you confirm that there was no questions in the room?
Oh, sorry about that. I'm not used to people actually being in the room, so please. So, all right, so please come on up.
That's why we need meetings at night.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know it's a long meeting, but I just have a quick question about the Millstream subdivision. I have a quick comment before I ask the question. I've spoken to an engineer in Ucluelet that confirmed additional heavy vehicle traffic on top of failing water lines contributes to failures. So vibrations and stresses cause more frequent and premature failures, especially on old and poorly maintained systems and roadways. So my question was the failing water infrastructure taken into consideration when deciding to turn the Millstream subdivision into a bus turnaround?
Okay, who can answer that? Eddie?
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
I can jump in there. And through the chair, and thank you for the question. It wasn't really at the time, when we were looking at the implementation of the bus route, and the bus stop within the Millstream. That was the only location that would really allow for the buses to serve the community. At the time, we had gotten a no from MOTT on anything on the highway, and anything else within the community would have, for BC Transit and their safety and training team, would have led to a 3-point turn illegally within the roadway, which couldn't have been approved either. So it wasn't really. I think we'd have to look at where exactly the water line crossed through there, but you know, we weren't too concerned about that.
Thank you. Thank you. Please go ahead. You have to use the mic. Yeah. And I should have made you introduce yourself, but since you did during the presentation, like it's okay. But if you could identify yourself and where you live.
I'm Cara McKenzie. I'm the temporary use permit that was deferred today from 8335 Beaver Creek Road. I wasn't told I'd be allowed to speak in regards to our permit today, so I don't want to like overstep. I just would like to know what the next steps are.
I believe the next step is as a result of the new motion, which includes inviting you for the next meeting to give a presentation.
Okay.
Is that correct? Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, and I would say, Cara, that if you could reach out to me and you know, you and I can work on addressing some of the concerns that have been raised, and I think it would be good to prepare a bit of that to bring forward to the board at the next meeting. So I would encourage you to reach out to planning staff. We'll help you with that.
Okay, and the next meeting is when?
The August 27th, I believe. Whatever the Wednesday is, the last Wednesday.
And so like the people that spoke at the start would be something similar, like I would do that. Okay.
We just wouldn't want you to do it today because that's like way not enough.
No, that's fine.
numbers. Yeah,
And I was prepared for that. I just wanted to know the next step. Okay. Thank you.
August 27th. Okay, so with that in mind, if we could have a motion to recess the meeting to go into the regional hospital district. Thank you, Director Roth, seconded by Director Sparrow. All those in favor? All opposed? The motion carried. And while that's happening, I'm going to quickly run the election.
Thank you. I'd like to call the July 23rd Hospital District Board of Directors meeting to order. I'd like to acknowledge that we're conducting this meeting on the unceded traditional territories of the Wet'suwet'en First Nations and the Shuswap First Nations, and we're grateful for their opportunity to do so. We also have directors calling in from other territories. I would like to also acknowledge those nations and express our gratitude and our respect. We have an agenda in front of us. Is there additions from directors? Is there any additions from the corporate officer?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Did I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Moved by Director Sparrow, seconded by Director Cote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Any declarations or conflict of interest? Seeing none, we'll go in the adoption of minutes. We have minutes from the Board of Directors meeting dated June 11th, 2025. Is there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, can I motion that the minutes of the Alberni Quayquaht Regional Hospital District Board of Directors meeting held on June 11th, 2025 be adopted? Moved by Director Boyko, seconded by Director Cote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. No petitions, delegations, or presentations today. Correspondence for action. We have an invitation from the Nanaimo Regional Hospital District to attend the Health Forward Conference. It is something I would really like to attend. However, I will not be here. So because Director Cote is connected with the Alberni Quayquaht Health Network, West Coast Native Healthcare Society, and she has been coming to the Healthcare Summit meetings, I would like to nominate Director Cote to attend the meeting. So I'd like to make a motion that the Alberni Quayquaht Regional Hospital District Board of Directors support Director Cote to attend the Health Forward Conference, Advancing Healthcare in Central and North Vancouver Island Conference scheduled for November 13th, 2025 in Nanaimo, BC. Seconded by Director Sparrow. Director Boyko. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Director Cote, for helping to go. However, Director Cote did say she would go to Hawaii in my place so I could go to the conference, which is very kind of her. correspondence for information. We have 4 things from Island Health. One on water safety for the summer. Next, recognizing a Mill Bay teen wins the 2025 Youth Harm Reduction Award. Thirdly, estimated Island Health Emergency Department lead lines are now available online, which I think is a great addition. And a measles update. Anybody want to pull anything out? Director Cote.
Thank you. It would be really good to make Island Health aware of what the program from the Sprout Lake Marine Patrol is, that they go to the schools.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Cote. Could we ask staff maybe just to write a short summary and send it into Island Health regarding the Sprout Lake Marine Patrol? We don't need a motion. Okay, good. A motion that this correspondence be received for information. Moved by Director Coote, seconded by Director Sparrow. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. No request for decision and bylaws. Next is reports. Banfield Health Center, Director Beckett.
No report, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Alberni Quickwat Continue Care Society, Director Seaga.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. West Coast Native Health Care Society, Director Cote.
Thank you. We've had an application into the city for our expansion, which is going back to the drawing board. I think that they asked for lower density. Thank you.
Thank you. Tofino General Hospital, Director Steer.
Hi, thank you. Through the chair. And no report directly, but I will refer back to the last meeting and a request that was made to update regarding the invitation to Dave Boychuk to provide an update on the Tofino General Hospital replacement and the new role of the Ministry of Infrastructure. I do know in conversation with staff that there is a new replacement for Dave Boychuk, and so I'm just maybe give them a time to get their feet on the ground. But I would just like to know if there has been a request put in for that meeting.
Daniel has his mouth full.
Sorry. I needed a sugar crash readjustment. Yes, we are coordinating, and we have reached out to find an appropriate date to have one of those larger meetings. When we had our strategic planning earlier this year, we said that would be one of 2 meetings for this for 2025. So the meeting that we're planning is the second one of that style. Facilitated dialogue, although we won't hire a facilitator, it's going to be run by our chair of the hospital board. And we do want Island Health there, so we are doing the coordination of that.
Next is Alberni Quickwat Health Network, Director Cote.
Thank you. We have had no meetings, but I know that our coordinator is working through the summer, writing reports, and quite busy continually. Thank you.
West Coast General Hospital. I don't know if I mentioned this in a previous report, but the province has a campaign on to track medical personnel in the United States, trying to track people who aren't in line with the current government beliefs down there, and they're having some success. They have attracted 10 doctors from the United States to Island Health. However, they tend to go to more urban areas instead of where they're really needed in the rural areas. But I'm hoping that eventually that's going to start to trickle down. And I've heard through the grapevine that there was a doctor from the United States visiting different locations in the Central Island area. And I hope she is coming to Port Alberni, and I hope we can razzle and dazzle her and so just choose Port Alberni for her next. Thank you. Any other reports? Seeing none, can I get a motion that Regional Hospital Board of Directors receive reports A through G? Moved by Director Boyko, seconded by Director Jack. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. no unfinished business, no late business, and any questions on? Heather? And Heather has her mouth full of time. We all need treats to get through the rest of the day.
No questions received.
Thank you. Can I motion to adjourn, please? Moved by Director Fritz, second by Director Sparrow, all in favor. Any opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. It is 4:50. And so we will go to move to in-camera for in-camera portion of our agenda. There's for one reason, which is the motion to close the meeting to the public as per the community charter in sections 91K, which are negotiations and related discussions respecting proposed provision of a regional district service that are at their preliminary stages and that in the view of the board could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the regional district if they were held in public. Do a motion. I'll move that. Do we have a second? Thank you, Dr. Steer. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? And motion carried. Thank you. We are now in camera. We'll just wait a bit to. Yep.